How's everybody doing? I am coming through. Okay, perfect.
I
How's
like
it going,
how
John?
I like how our intro logo says "Biot hole."
Where does it say that?
When you put them
Oh, is that what it
together,
looks like?
this is
Oh,
Biot hole, and
wow.
then Beeve. Actually, it says Biot Beeve hole. So
We both had a round logo, so they fit together so well. I
they
was
do,
like,
yeah.
oh, that works
Yep.
actually. I could always blur the center of it or something,
No, no, no. I think
but
it's perfect. Fuck it. We're a perfect mess of shit. That's what we are.
I think that that you know what, that should be the description of the show.
There you go.
How's everybody doing out there tonight? We got Kelly Fitzpatrick, Jackalope Herdmaster, Freedom Fighter. Look at all the people we haven't chased off yet
That's
with
all
our
right.
with our one very political first stream the other day.
That was tough to do because we had talked about that like in the pre-production of this show. It's like, how political do we want to go? We're like, maybe not so political. Then day one, I'm like, political as shit. Fuck all you
Well,
politicians. So we just like dove right in head first and started really fucking it up.
you gotta scare them off first, Like you just be like,
Exactly.
"Boo!"
Right. Yeah.
like
That's
like.
what I did with my channel. I scared them all off. I mean, I scared all of them off. So it
I
is what
mean,
it is.
you did a lot of videos in a short period of time that had the same thing going. Clive Wells, I see you there. Holy Smalls.
Yeah.
Elizabeth S. Hello. We're gonna Johnny said while we were talking beforehand, because we had a little discussion about this, because this is a bit of a fucking dumpster fire of a topic, and we're gonna piss off some feminists, we're gonna piss off some red pillars, everybody's gonna be angry.
Yep.
It's gonna, yeah. So I think that I'll start. I'm just going to very quickly preface this and say that anything we talk about today, Johnny and I are very respectful of the conversation and the topic. We think that none of this is directed at any specific males or females having done anything wrong. This is a discussion about basically a report that came out regarding how well boys and men are doing, young boys and men specifically. But it's projection to the future, because it's
Right.
not going to get better. If it's like, if you have a, whatever your path is on in life tends to project forward, let's face it. So we're looking at some bad statistics if things continue the way they're continuing, and some of this, almost, if you look at it with the wrong angle, feels like it's an attack on women, I think, in some cases, and that's why we were a little
Right.
bit, Johnny,
This is going to be an
say?
interesting, yeah, this is going to be an interesting discussion simply because, yeah, some people could see this as an attack on women, and it most certainly isn't. It's not an attack on women or men. It's a conversation about people in general and what we as a society, not me and Brainy Beaver specifically, but it's Brainy Beaver's Beaver Zer0. God damn
You're
it.
like Team. No, you do better than Team Skeptic, though. He still calls me Brainy Beaver.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? YouTube's back end, I've told you about this. YouTube's back end, no matter what I do, still thinks I'm Brainy Beaver. I've changed the name of my channel. I've gone into my Google account and changed the
Yep.
logo. It'll still come up with notifications on my phone or when I log into certain things, and it shows the Brainy Beaver logo. And I'm like, it hasn't been that for years. Like, how can your back end system not figure this out? And like,
Right.
you know that how there's oh, what is it? It's for looking at your stats or whatever. There's the Social Blade.
Yeah.
But then there's that other one, Playboard. And Playboard's almost better because it keeps track of your super chats and actually can show you how much money you're making in a month and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, actually, it's really good for keeping an eye on somebody's grifting, because you can actually, it literally calculates how much money they make per night. So they're like, oh, we're having a hard time supporting the channel. You're like, that's interesting because you've made $9,000 this month.
Sign me up for that. Sign me up for that channel making $9,000.
No shit.
Fuck,
But
man.
all I was gonna say is that I'm not, like, it stopped keeping track of me. Like, it keeps track of way smaller channels, and it stopped keeping track of me so long ago. Like, I've just, like, their algorithm just, like, lost connection to my channel. It thinks the last stream I did was like the year I started my channel. So I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, the back end be screwy. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun conversation. We got 3 here. It's because even Google know you should be brainy. There you go. It's true. You know what? 3 it's easy to be a brainy beaver when you're surrounded by idiots, and that's hold on. Let me preface. I don't hang out with a lot of people that are extremely intellectual, and so, like, oh, hello, puppy, come here,
Squirrel.
come see people.
Squirrel.
Come see people. So this is my puppy dog. This is my puppy. This is my boy. But anyways, so all it was is, come on, you can get down now though. All it was is that when I started, like, hanging out in like rooms with like PhD Tony and Professor whatever the hell his name is, and we've got like Professor Dave Explains coming on and things like that. I'm like, these people are really fucking smart. Like,
I can't call
and
myself brainy anymore.
it just became completely like like it wasn't genuine anymore. It felt like a travesty, and I was like, I hate this name.
Yeah.
Like, so,
Yeah.
anyways, and plus it was originally about flat Earth. It's not been about flat Earth for a while. So
Yeah.
but yeah, Mr. Andret says doggy.
I do want to say something about that whole thing. I remember everybody's all talking about whenever they did, where the fuck it was, when they sent everyday average people up to orbit.
Speaking of the devil.
Yeah, there he is. Talking about, well, that's going to be the end of flat Earth. And I was back there saying, no, the fuck it's not. They're just going to do what they always did and fucking blanket deny, and they're still going to do the same dumb shit. You know, it's not going to be the end of it.
They just had more content to work with now, though.
Yeah, really. All we're doing is giving them fuel. Like I was on Creaky's Creaky Blinders show.
I saw that. I watched.
Yeah, and he was talking about doing this experiment. I'm thinking, what's the fucking point? I mean, do you really? I mean, just make another CC video. It'll do better. Fuck.
DC, he's a poor guy. The only guy who's literally had his wife call him an idiot online, like on TV, but he got like 100,000 views, so he's like, let her ride. Like,
You know,
he doesn't give a shit.
I think he's having
he's
a
a
bit of
pug?
fun. I think he's having a bit of fun with people.
Think so?
Oh,
He
yeah.
might be.
Come on. I think
Never know.
I think he's like
he's been very consistent.
that's true, but I think he might believe some of it. I don't know, man. I don't know. That hair is too good.
That bouffant, I call it the bouffant do, right? It's just
You know.
It looks like when I used to have hair. It looks like when I got off the Sea-Doo after ripping around the lake for 30 minutes. Come back just like.
Yeah.
Anyways, so Johnny, before we move into this, do you have anything else you wanted to say?
Yeah. Fuck a bunch of porch pirates.
Oh, you get porch pirated?
Yeah, well, fuck yeah. I had a delivery. And mind you, I'm watching it on
Oh,
my
is this
phone.
computer parts?
Yes.
Fuck off. God
Yeah.
damn it.
Well,
That's ridiculous. So
luckily, it wasn't anything that was like, it's like a $30 part. And I'm going to contact the shipping and manufacturer and be like, look, whatever it says is delivered, it wasn't there. Because I'm watching, I watch on my phone because I work from the house most of the days, right? I work from the apartment almost every single day. When I'm not on set, I'm at the house. If I'm not at the house, I'm at the gym when I used to have hair. Yeah. Thanks, Kids Crasher. We both, Beaver and I, discussed this last week. Yeah. He's got the
it's
Rebels.
slowly leaving.
Yeah, so is mine.
Star Wars
Mine's
Rebel
back
symbol.
here. Mine's back here. It's just like, I don't want to be here. It's like a Chinese looking iPhone factory. Oh, it's so terrible. I should have said that. It's so terrible. Fuck.
I don't know if I've ever heard that one before.
And well, they've got like in Shenzhen, they have all the like the anti unaliving mats that are around
Yeah.
the big.
Oh yeah, they've got the net. Oh, I
Yeah.
see what you're saying. Yeah, they had to put all the netting around the iPhone factory for the people that didn't want to work there anymore.
Yeah, right. That's that's the only way to get out apparently. No, but so I'm watching the delivery and whatnot, keeping an eye. As Susan says it's delivered. So I think what happened is the delivery driver, the Amazon dude, was like, let me put it out, take a picture, say it was delivered. I'm going to snatch it really quick. Because, again, I'm watching it the whole time. It's like, your next stop. There it is. Boom. Delivered. I think it was whatever. And I got it, went to grab it. Gone. They took a picture of it and everything. Like, so we delivered it. Like, get fucked. And really,
But wouldn't you have video of whoever took it then? If you've got like a thing at the front?
I-
No, you were watching the app. I see.
Yeah.
Like a doorbell cam or something.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, I got an ice machine at my building got cut apart, and then I was like, "Fuck this!" Put like a bunch of cameras in, like with 16 megapixel, 180 degree. They look at the whole building.
Yeah.
I didn't lose the same thing. It was like $30 of value. But then the next week they went and cut an air conditioner off the wall of a customer of mine. Completely unrelated, like buildings, not even in the same part of the town.
Right.
And he sends me a message. He's like, Did you do this? Because I'm working on the inside half of the AC, and it's just a picture of a fucking compressor on the base, it's just a compressor in the base and no coils or anything. And I'm like, buddy, you got to call the RCMP. So it was like the same people came back the next weekend and hit. So like I joked with my wife, I'm like prime suspect because I'm going to be hired to fix it. Like, because I'm in the middle of a contract to do a bunch of HVAC there. So I was like, it wasn't me. Like,
I didn't do it.
But Anyways,
How's the
okay,
audio,
well,
by the way?
fucking
Audio
porch
good?
lights.
Everybody, is Beaver still like way over the top of me? Yes,
I
Mr. Andrew,
turned.
Papa Teeves.
Yeah, guys, let us know what our levels are like, because only you can help prevent audio damage.
That's right.
Just like just like the
Just like the
I
Smokey
forgot
the
his name.
Bear.
Smokey.
Yeah,
Smokey. That's
Smokey the
right.
Bear.
It's like my brain just went empty.
How could you forget
Hiring people to
Smokey? That
destroy.
he is like decidedly
I think
Canadian.
Smokey's an. Is he Canadian? I don't think so. That's an
Look at him.
American
I
character.
know he's an American
He's
character, but
wearing an American
come on,
like park ranger
he is
hat.
such a
He's
Mountie. You
we
know
don't
he's such a
that is
Mountie.
not a Mountie hat. That is a park ranger hat. That is a green one of those green busboy hats with a brim that they wear.
Yeah, Yeah, no. Let's
I'm
hang on.
dude,
We're gonna look up
we can
Smokey right now.
chat
Smokey the
GPT
Bear.
this. No way. I mean, don't get me wrong. Forest fires are very important in this country.
Well, okay. No, this is decidedly Canadian. I'm sorry.
What is it? No,
Hang
come
on.
on. We gotta
Hang on a second. Let me
It
find
can't
a.
be about how you feel. It has to be about its actual origins.
No, okay, whatever. I'm gonna show you this picture, and then if you don't think it's decidedly Canadian, then you're just being a Canadianist.
Is
Here,
Smokey the Bear?
no. Stop it and share the
Canadian?
screen. Share the screen.
I'm gonna add to scene. Okay, what? That is still not Canadian.
It's not on the. It's not on this. You gotta.
It's
do the
not
thing.
Canadian. It's an
You gotta
American.
do the
That's
thing.
because that's a park ranger hat. What are we doing?
Hey, you're not sharing. You're not sharing. You got to switch the screens.
What? Oh, yeah.
Tell me this is not a Canadian. Look at that. Tell me he's not.
But it's
he's even
not.
wearing blue jeans. He's even wearing blue jeans.
We have forest fire prevention bear. Okay, I don't really. I haven't even heard of this guy.
Forest fire
Wait,
prevention.
Canada does have its own forest fire prevention mascots, like forest fire prevention bear. So now I gotta look this up.
Yeah, find
I
out.
gotta look
Find out when he came out.
No, listen. Our famous bear is Pooh. Okay, Pooh is ours. God damn it. No, Winnie the Pooh. He's Winnipeg.
I know.
He was an actual bear that was sent off with a Canadian regiment to make them feel good and play a drum or something. Like, it's true. It was back in the days when we were allowed to like take animals into the fucking army.
Yeah, but you can't tell me that Smokey the Bear with his fucking hairy chest and blue jean.
I mean, I have a hairy chest, but that is not indicative necessarily of Canadian. I can't even find the Canadian one. Who the fuck is this Canadian version? I don't know, man. The thing that gives it away for me is the price. Hold on, I'm gonna put it on here. I can do this.
Put them both up there.
Well, no. I was gonna bring up another Smokey. That is it. The problem is that this is a very characteristic, American, like park ranger hat. Like in Canada, that hat is a park ranger hat. That's how they were trying to catch Yogi Bear, and that was in what, Yosemite? Like, where was Yogi Bear located? Fire Smart Canada retiring Smokey Bear in favor of a Canadian made. Oh, wait a minute.
Whoa,
So
stop, time out. Wait. You're gonna love this shit. Some have been asking what the Canadian version of Smokey the Bear is, and there's an Alberta version. It's called Birdie the Beaver.
Birdie the Beaver? What?
Birdie
That's
the Beaver.
terrible. This
Right
is
here.
unacceptable.
Boom. Birdie the Beaver.
Did you give me a whole bunch? I'm getting like a whole bunch of like beaver screams, and I'm wondering like, did
NA
just
do
get
this
it
thing.
back? It's not showing it on the screen though. Oh wait, here. Oh, when I pressed browser, it murdered it. NA donated, but it did a whole bunch of beaver screams. Well, we're gonna fix that. It did like fucking 8. You couldn't hear it probably, but on my side there's like 8 beaver screams, like that screaming marmot. Smokey the Bear is high 24/7. He's like the mystery mobile when they'd roll up and they'd open the door. Fucking. Okay, I'm coming. Let me.
This is Ember the Fox. This is Ember the Fox next to Smokey the Bear.
We'll see. We had to get our own because Smokey. Well, hold on a minute. I'm not saying we don't have Smokey. He's just not Canadian.
He is decidedly Canadian.
I
He's
don't
almost.
know.
He's
Agree to
wearing the
disagree.
bottom half. He's wearing the bottom half of a Canadian tuxedo. Come on now.
Jeans. Well, you know. How do I even get this fucking thing off the screen now?
Like that. What did you do,
As
Ray?
rejected. What did I do? Hold on, but how do I now get rid of your? Okay. This is a this is all new to me, everybody. Here, I think I can just do it like
Yeah, you
this.
should just delete
There we
the
go.
no, and then you have to like
Delete the
switch.
layer,
Yeah, then you gotta switch it.
unlayer it.
You
Okay,
could have
good.
deleted it or you could have just like hidden it, but you have to do this there, you gotta switch it. You gotta switch it.
Um, lemon squeezer hats, nice.
Hey, Brainy, switch the screens.
What? I just. Oh, you're
There
right.
you go.
I'm still learning. I'm like a baby. Anyways, okay. So that's now that we've had the Smokey the Bear off. I guess we could start with. Let's just start with the first part of the this Lost Boys report. Okay. So I guess what sparked this, a lot of this, is this report that came out from what is it, Social Center for Social Justice in
Yep.
the UK.
Yep.
Da 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 da. Let
The
me just get
Lost
to the
Boys report.
forward here. Yeah, and there's an introduction here. Um,
Yes, NA, a smoke off. 100%. That's what happened.
so let's. I'm gonna get to the. Oh, I think I went past the forward.
Do you guys get a lot of forest fires up there? Or are you too apologetic? Like even the forest fires, like, sorry guys, sorry.
No,
We'll put
we
ourselves
have
out.
forest like Americans. A lot of like I think Minnesota understands because they got a lot of forests too. But like we treat forest fires are like almost like a military operation here. So we get. I mean, we're made of lumber, so yes, a
Yeah,
forest fire will start and it will get fucking. I mean, last year New York had smoke because of our forest fires.
I know.
It was
I
like
was just making
North
a, I was
America wide.
making a normal Canadian joke.
We've got those super tankers, those what is it? The super
Yeah.
fucking the water, the ones that land on the water. It was funny during California because we sent two of them down there, and there was like TikToks of a guy being like, "I have never seen some bullshit like this before," and they're recording them land like touching down on the ocean and sucking the water up, like because they
Yeah.
kind of skip along the water. They
Yeah.
open up little they have like little things that drop down and they use the
Yeah.
momentum of like they basically just skim the water because they got a boat front and they just kind of skip along and if there's as long as the waves aren't too big and they suck a bunch of water up and they can so they don't hold as much as that large like super tanker you guys had dropping like
Right.
flame retardant, but they're able to do in the time it takes that tanker to land and refill and come back. They can drop like 10 loads sometimes depending on how close the water source is because they just touch down on a water source and pick back up. Drop 10 loads? Oh, you child.
Immediately went to that's what she said. Joke. Just
That is what she said. Hey, listen, if she says that, you're having a good night.
look, when I was a kid, when I was a, I say kid, when I was in my 20s, that wasn't anything difficult, okay?
Now my screen's polluted with all of this fucking Smokey the Bear windows. So, I was trying to find the foreword that I found when I was reading before, but I think it's right after. Here we go. Are you? No, I can see it on the. I can see it on the live stream. You're looking at a blank screen, I guess. Well, what do you mean you're looking at a blank screen? I've got it's on. Oh, so like the live stream has it because I've got that open in a window, for instance. You wing it. Here, I'll hit transition again. Oh, that's weird. That's weird that you don't have it. Here, I'm gonna. No, I get it. I'm gonna reconnect it and see if maybe you just get it back here. Nope. Like, did it come back, or is it? You can see it now. Oh, okay, good. I think they're about to get it. Yeah, they got it. There it is. Okay, so, uh, so it says I'm just gonna read a very short bit of this to get us started, everybody. So it says at the Center for Social Justice, we've always asked what is really going on in our homes and communities, and where we make it. What? Oh, you must have had. Okay, give me 10. Oh, you know what? I bet you I know what's happened here. Yeah, give me 10 seconds here. I just got to add you to the layer. That's interesting that they would do that. Okay, hold on. Add him as a speaker. Gotta add Johnny, and then we're just gonna sync him down a few layers so he's behind everything. There we
There
go.
we
Now they can hear
go.
you, right?
Yeah, they should be able to hear me.
Yay. I'm glad you. No, no, no. This is all. When Johnny logs in, there's a few things we need to do, and I guess I didn't do that one. So that means in some of the other windows we might have. No, you're in this one. You're in this. Yeah,
Look,
so we
folks,
would have to do it in another window.
we're still getting the show together, folks. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
we're working on it.
It's not like
So,
we're not working professionals outside of YouTube.
well, I mean that's the thing. I was making chicken nuggets an hour before the stream for my kids.
I had a safe and you just blew it. You blew it.
Is that a safe word?
Safe
I didn't
word
know we knew
was-
each other like this.
Yes, we did.
It says, at the Center for Social Justice, we have always asked what is really going on in our homes and communities and where we can make a difference. We listen to those working on the front line, the teachers, youth workers, charities, and parents who see day in and day out the struggles playing out in the lives of young people. And in recent years, they've been telling us the same thing. Something is going on with our boys. The Lost Boys is our attempt to find out what that is. We have uncovered is stark. Boys are struggling in education, more likely to take their own lives, less likely to get into stable work, and far more likely to get caught up in crime. The numbers don't lie. Something has shifted, and we cannot ignore it any longer. It's not about Andrew Tate or online influence. I mean, it is, but in a roundabout way. They are the symptom, not the cause. The deeper truth is that too many boys are growing up without without the guidance, discipline, and purpose they need to thrive. Let me be clear, this is not a message of despair. Boys and young men have enormous potential. They always have, and they always will. We must stop seeing masculinity as a problem to be solved and start seeing it as a strength to be nurtured. Strength, resilience, responsibility. These are not traits to be suppressed, but harnessed for good. This report, Lost Boys, is not just an exploration of the challenge young men face, but the beginning of a journey to offer hopeful, positive vision for masculinity in Britain. So this is a British study that just came out. We need strong fathers, mentors, and role models. We need a culture that values the unique contribution of men and supports boys to grow into good, responsible adults. And then it says this is just the first step, yada, yada, yada. I'm gonna read just one more little bit of this part, and then we're gonna move back off this. It says boys and young men are in a crisis. While the last 100 years have been marked by great leaps forward in outcomes and rights for women, in this generation it is boys who are being left behind, and by some margin. From the day they start primary school to the day they leave higher education, the progress of boys lags behind girls. The proportion of young men compared to young women failing to move from education into employment or training has been steadily growing for 30 years. Since the pandemic alone, the number of males aged 16 to 24 who are not in education, employment, or training, and they have an acronym for it, NEET, N-E-E-T, has increased by a staggering 40% compared to just 7% of females. For those young men who are in work, the much vaunted gender pay gap has been reversed. Young men are now out-earned by their female peers, including among the university educated. And don't get me wrong, people say, why is that a bad thing? I mean, they kind of get to that, but we're going to slowly work our way there, and whether or not we get there is going to kind of matter on how much we talk. It says the growing divergence in boys and girls outcome does not only apply to education and employment. We are also seeing a growing divide in social and political attitudes of the sexes. In Britain, as in countries across the developed world, young men are increasingly drawn to conservative, traditionalist, or right-wing political movements, while young women become even more liberal and left progressive. In an increasingly online existence, boys and girls no longer walk the same path from childhood to adulthood, with their interests, values, and aims in life increasingly incompatible with each other. As Britain grapples with an epidemic of family breakdown, millions of boys are deprived of any positive model of manhood. So I think that's a good place to stop for now on that.
That was a lot.
Well, I thought it gave a good basis for what has sparked this conversation. I mean, that's just part of the executive summary, but it's giving you an idea without even having to read into it. It's kind of giving you an idea of what they've discovered. There's a lot of deep. This is a full study, right? I mean, there's a lot of information.
Yeah.
Anybody can download it. By the way, if you type in the Lost
We'll
Boys
post
report,
a link. We'll just post a link.
Yeah, that's true. Here, we can post a link. I'll do it in the description afterwards too. Here, when we get a chance.
NANA, if you're in your mid 40s, you're not older than me by much, if at all. BT dubs.
Damn, I'm in my mid 40s, dropping a couple in a dropping it. What? I'm in my mid 40s, dropping a couple in a day. It's hard work. I know I'm older than Beaver and Johnny. Not that much older.
Yeah,
We're all in the same. We're all in the same territory
same
here.
age bracket. But
Yeah,
I
you would be attending high school with me, like basically, like if
yeah,
if I would have been in the younger grade, you'd be in the older grade. We're attending high school together.
and we might have been
You know,
graduating the same time together. But
Johnny, take it away, buddy.
What was I going to say? Oh,
You were gonna say it's all women's fault, and
whoa,
then
whoa,
fuck the mate. No, I'm just kidding. He
whoa.
knows that he wasn't gonna say that. They know
It's 51% of the woman's fault. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
51%, just like a bad ownership system.
Yeah, right.
49%. There's always one fucking boss that's getting fucked.
Yep. He's not really a boss. Just ask Zuckerberg.
Well, he's the owner of the company. The 51% owner gets to do whatever the fuck he wants. The other one's like, fuck this.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Anyways, continue, Johnny, please.
Okay, and yeah, so we're there. We're pretty close. Anyway, the thing I found interesting about this study.
Thank you, by the way, Annie, for the super chats as well.
Yes,
I appreciate it.
The thing I found interesting about this study, and then the like 2.5 hour long podcast that followed it.
Yeah, it was long.
I'm not so convinced that they were. I mean, I understand that the assignment was to look at the data and how it relates to what we're seeing in our society, right, globally, not just specifically in the States or in UK or wherever. But I do think that there are a lot of things that I would question some of the positions they take based on this evidence. And I think it's important to remember that this evidence is only a portion of the overall influence that we're seeing, and not just on men, but men and women, people in general.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, because there's a specific part in there. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but there's a specific part in there that stuck out to me the most when they were talking about, they compared the divorce rates from the '60s to now, and they conveniently leave out like this huge factor of, at fault divorces weren't a thing in the '60s.
No, for sure.
And well, hang on, and the importance of that is. There are a lot of women who were in getting the shit beat out of them.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And
that's the whole zoom straight to the moon thing.
Right. I would argue that
one of these days
is more detrimental to how young men act and respond to uncomfortable societal situations, especially when it comes to the two genders, the two sexes. When it comes to men and women interactions, if young man sees that his dad beats the shit out of his mom and his mom allows it to happen because, at the time she couldn't, there's nothing she could really fucking do about it. I mean, look at Ike and Tina, right? There was nothing that Tina Turner could do until...
I'm only laughing because of the ridiculousness, everybody. Just if you see me laugh at things like this, I was thinking of Liar Liar, where he's like, what if Tina Turner had rolled over and said, hit me again, Ike?
Right.
So the laughing isn't laughing at the subject matter. Usually the ADHD sparks imagination.
Right.
So,
and Mr. Android is not to say that abuse only happens one way, because it doesn't, right? It does. It just does not happen.
Men are more likely to be verbally abused and emotionally... Wow, I shouldn't say that. That's a pretty odd fucking thing to say. They're more likely to be verbally and emotionally abused versus physically abused. Not versus women.
Versus women, right, yeah. When you look at
it's not a comparison of the sexes. It's just a comparison of the more likely way that you are to be being abused as a male.
Right. And this is where I do get down with the study, because part of that talks about as men, we are especially, I think you and I are of that last generation of the 80s, probably early 80s to maybe the early 90s were the last generation of men that were just expected. We weren't given, quote, emotional intelligence. We weren't taught how to deal with emotion. We were taught that you're not allowed, you don't cry, you don't show emotion, you don't, if it, it upsets you, too bad, you got to figure it out. So what? Yes,
Well,
it
you can
sucks.
see it in the way we approach situations. One of the biggest complaints I see, like, well, my wife has even expressed this to me. So, I mean, one of the biggest complaints, a lot of women, if they're still in the chat,
Yep.
could probably back this up, is that you get a lot of situations where, a woman just wants to vent and talk about the things that's bugging her, and men always come at it from like, well, here's how you could fix it. Like, it's like tackling a problem. Whereas that's
We are
not what they're after. A lot of
because that's
times,
what
they
we
just
have been
yeah,
trained to
because
do.
we
And
just
Clive,
solve
you're correct.
problems, right? So
Yeah.
we just try to tackle it like it's a problem to be solved. And sometimes part of I've had to learn this is that sometimes it's not about solving the problem; it's about just listening to the concerns
They want the
and
emotional validation, which they're
they
100%
want.
correct, right? But the thing is, and Clive, again, you are correct. It's not at fault. It's no fault. I misspoke earlier. So it's no fault divorces that were more recent introduction in the what was it, late 70s, early 80s.
Uh,
I think that was.
yeah, that's
I
fair.
want, anyway, so I think that's where I was going with that. Is I think it's a bad comparison to say 60s versus current because there was like a huge thing that changed that, and there's a big reason why we needed to see that change. But
Oh, JL's live right now. My apologies to JL.
is he?
Yeah, apparently. Sorry, JL. I didn't. I would have tried to avoid that, but anyways,
Oh
this
yeah.
is our timestamp now, bitch.
Oh
Just
no.
kidding. Throw down.
It would have been actually interesting to get. Well, it would have been interesting to get JL on this because of his acumen when it comes to philosophy and whatnot. But I digress.
We would
I
have had
would.
so much to talk about, though,
It
Johnny.
would
Come
have
on.
been. Yeah, it would have been just back and forth and would have been terrible. Less couples getting married today. Yeah, and there are reasons for that as well. When you talk about the financial responsibilities that come with a legal partnership like that, jail should be sorry.
Jails should be sorry. It's true. Um,
The
Less couples
implications
getting
of,
married today.
yeah, it's easier to leave if you're not married. It's easier to, you don't have to as much, you don't have as much, like financial split, like, going through this myself recently. Figuring out the financial end of it is a pain in the ass. I'm not talking about, money specifically. I'm talking about credit. I'm talking about how it's going to affect, the things that we were both responsible for when it came to cars and houses and rents and all that other shit. You know what I mean?
It's like the closest thing to having to move. It's having to move your life. And you know what I mean? Like, it's in the
Right.
sense of like bothersomeness. It's like packing up all of your financial situations and everything in the same way you have to pack a house up.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
it's a terrible absorption of time,
It,
unfortunately, I'm
it
sure.
it's yeah, and it's not something that goes away quickly. It's not a 6 months you're good, 7 months. No, it's a pain. So I can understand why people aren't, getting married again. I don't know that I would ever do it again. But then again, I'm fresh into this new situation that I don't particularly care for. But again, see, and okay, that kind of goes back to what we're talking about here. Even the way that I'm framing this, right? Like, I'm gonna get personal a little bit, right, and kind of open up, which is something I generally don't do because I've been conditioned as a man that you don't fucking burden other people with your problems. But going through the divorce of my ex has been emotionally taxing. People who've gone through before know what I'm talking about. So I'm not saying that I've some, sort of like unique experience. You know what I mean? I know that a lot of people have gone through what I'm going through now. And for men, we are just supposed to shut the fuck up about it and deal with it and figure it out and continue to move on. But we've never been given, at least my generation and previous, have never really been given the tools that the tools to be able to deal with this with what we are going through emotionally. So we absorb that, and that emotional trauma is something that we just kind of like etch inside of us and don't really take.
Well, okay,
And
but there's part of what they talk about on this, and we'll get there at some point here probably. But one of the things they talk about is that, and I've seen this before, is that we're given a lot of conflicted signals because
yes,
in one sense they want a masculine man, or they want a sensitive man that's like able to listen to their problems and like and like be supportive emotionally, and they deserve that. But then there's a lot of evidence to show that like when men do open up and become vulnerable to women, that women don't actually like it a lot of times, and it can actually result in like there's been a lot of instances of like people having like their dates like, sorry, I can't see you, I can't process your emotional pain, and like there's a lot of it tends to freak women out when we do express emotion. So it's one of those things.
Well, because
like,
it's a relatively new thing. It's a relatively new idea for men to be emotionally intelligent.
So of course there's this separation between what it's kind of like when people say, like there's the whole thing in marketing how people will say what they want, but then they'll actually like they'll buy.
It's
something
like
different.
the idealistic version of what they want. Can you?
Can I?
I'm dodging the YouTube button there.
Well, you're not. There's nobody up right now.
What do you mean?
Which YouTube button? There's nobody on the screen right now.
No. I'm just giving you shit.
I think I lost the joke. You got to be this in jokes. It's like in dating. It's got to be neon signs for me, baby.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Neon sign.
You got to look me right in the eyes and say, "This is what I want."
I would look at you right in the eyes, but my eyes are being covered right now.
That's fair. Where? I don't know what you're looking at.
I think there's a problem with communication between the backstage and us because there's a comment that's up across my face, which is fine. Nobody needs to see me.
It's not on. If you watch the stream, you're totally free. You're not commented. But here, I can try to free.
No. Well, we got NA up here anyway.
Bring
so.
NA up here. I was told to suck it up. Taught. Oh, Jesus Christ! I can't read apparently. Is that how you spell it?
No, that's not how you spell taught.
Okay. I was like, am I having an aneurysm? I was told to sorry, Annie. I was just ripping him apart here. To suck it up and take it. You are a man. A woman beating on you is no big deal. So bury your feelings and don't be a puss.
Yeah, 100%, right? And that's a conversation that I remember somebody broaching. There was a made-for-TV film about this shit back in the late 90s or maybe even early 90s. I remember watching as a kid, this dude would bring up, being beaten by physically abused by his wife to anybody, and they would just laugh at him like he was telling a joke. It's like, no, I'm getting the shit beat out of me. They're like, no, you're not. Just fucking deal with it, But that's like the sentiment that we were given. Men have just historically not allowed to be emotionally intelligent or in touch with our emotions. So as we are learning how to do these things, you know what I mean? It's like whenever you have a soda can that has been shook up forever, right? Or a soda bottle, right? And you want to just to kind of release the pressure a little bit, to that way it doesn't explode.
Just give it a little.
Well, we're not doing that. We're just pulling the fucking cap off and erupting all over everything because we just there you go.
Giggity. And on that note, it's over, boys and girls.
Yep, we're done.
That's the show. But no, I got you. Mean 100%. We're not. And they talk about that. Like one of the things that they also talk about is there's no, like I've talked about this in the past. I don't think it's right. How there's Boy Scouts, but the Boy Scouts are required to let the girls in. But there's Girl Scouts, and not that the boys want to join the Girl Scouts, but the Girl Scouts aren't required to let boys in. It's girls only. So I
think that's changed
losing
recently.
Male space. I don't know if it has though. Maybe under the new no DEI thing. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure, but hey, by the way, Johnny, I want to say congratulations on Liberation Day. Do you feel liberated today?
No.
Hey, your wallet's gonna get liberated pretty soon. I can tell you that much.
That's already been liberated.
He's like, that's what we're talking about right now.
Exactly what we're talking about.
That's funny.
No, woe is me. It just is what it is.
No, we're nobody. Johnny knows I'm just poking with him too, right? It's having fun. While we're so Johnny, you're saying though, I wanna just point something out here. So let me just grab a screen here. So you're saying that in the past there was far too much of this going on?
They teach you at school.
I don't know, Mom. I have a pretty realistic home ec class.
Okay, kids, now I'm gonna take the casserole out of the oven. Okay, it's a little burned. No reason to panic. Oh God, that's Daddy. He's home early. Let's get some spices in here and fix this. Okay, he's inside the house. Let's hope his meeting went well.
God, that meeting went awful!
Oh, boy.
What's that smell? Did you burn dinner, you stupid pig?
Okay, kids, put your heads down. Put your heads down and don't try to stand between me and your father. It'll just make it worse.
But Family Guy has a way of like. So what's funny to me is when you see those clips. Let me get you back on screen here. A lot of people, if I think that you have to be slightly less intellectual to understand the joke there. Some people do think that he's like making light of that. I don't think so at all. I think it's the opposite. I think it's
People don't
displaying
understand.
I don't think they understand the angle he's coming at. I think that
people
that's
just
more
generally
about
don't understand sarcasm and satire. They just don't. They don't
exactly
understand
like when I see that, I don't see a person like saying, "Oh, isn't this funny?" I see a person saying, "Isn't it ridiculous that like?" Because there's also the one where the guy escapes the plane crashes and he like crawls out. From under the wreckage, and he's like, I'm alive, but boy, am I angry. And the next scene is him hitting his wife, and she's like, did I burn the roast again? But it's like, because men, and what he's making fun of is that there's this instance, there's this thing, and that's that not knowing how to deal with emotions. When men get PTSD, their odds of beating their spouse go like through the roof compared to if they don't. And the thing is, like, to people that don't have PTSD and stuff or aren't suffering from these kinds of things, they would think like, what a ridiculous notion that you had like an emotional event, and so now you're gonna like take it out on your wife or whatever. But and the thing is, he's not presenting solutions to that. He's just pointing out that this is a problem that occurs in existence, right? Mm-hmm. But I can appreciate how, given the right personality, some people might think that that's. Now, I think Family Guy's hilarious. My wife will watch that with me. She laughs. Like, we understand where Seth MacFarlane's coming from on these things. So, anyways, I thought it was funny. I say that. I think it's funny. I got a dark sense of humor. I mean, I don't think it's funny that it occurs. I think the joke is funny.
Right.
Making fun of that occurs is funny.
Is JL leaving? All right, buddy. You have a good one.
JL? What? JL. We didn't mean to like encroach on your time frame either. It's funny. The stream's almost a little slow. Like it's kind of.
It's weird. Yeah. I don't know what it is.
Like,
they might be having some issues on the back end.
Yeah, because you can see that too. It's a little robotic at times, eh?
Yeah, whenever you put the video up, it was like voices, and then it was like a Godzilla movie.
Oh, I mean, how did it sound for everybody else? Was it working or was it way out?
It was just out of sync for me.
Casserole again.
Tuna casserole. Yeah. Not one person in the entire world was liberated today. Yeah, I mean, okay, so getting back to the point, right? Getting back to the topic at hand here.
Yeah, because Trump was last week.
We're trying to stay away from.
I made a joke, but we are trying to space ourselves out. I mean, we want to talk about more than just Trump in this show we're doing. So.
NA. I was just gonna bring that up, NA, and talking about PTSD. You see that a lot, like the hyper focused PTSD from our service members who are trained how to be a robot and just get in there and follow orders and do what they have to do. And then we send them into combat situations. And when they come back from that, I mean, that's a real fucking issue. When they get back, they're like, oh, great, you made it home. Awesome. Well, bye.
My dad even has arguably a little bit of PTSD. I don't think he was a police officer for 30 something years. It's not like where it's created a level of dysfunction that he struggles with. I mean, we all struggle in our own way. I'm sure that's a bit of a, it's loosely he probably does, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I think he retired. I can't remember when he retired, but I mean, it was like, PTSD. Like, for instance, my dad stopped hunting at some point. He used to be a big game hunter and stuff, and I got him hunting again because I kind of got into big game hunting when I was a teenager and stuff, and I got him out deer hunting again and stuff. But I just remember one time he said to me, he said, I'm just tired of watching things die.
I can understand that. Yeah, for sure.
And of course he's talking about everything. He's talking about your dogs, putting your dogs down,
right?
Showing up to sluice slides, showing up to
nice
accidents where, we're done always on this. The YouTube algorithms on us.
They're already
but they showing up to Like, I mean, he's driven to the hospital with a dude's femur in an evidence bag on the passenger seat. The motorbike was over, like he was like riding the line, and this elderly woman was over the line, and they impacted on a corner, and it sucked the femur right out of his body, and it was in her grill, and he had to like pull it out, with gloves on, stick it in an evidence bag, and then follow. Like the ambulance had already taken the guy away, right, and he like turned the lights on and went to the hospital behind the ambulance a couple minutes just to get the femur bone back to the hospital.
Yeah.
And like he tells me, like there was a party one time with teenagers, and fucking idiots, they get a chainsaw out because that's what you do while you're drunk. And one of them's like revving it, thinking he's funny, and his brother walks up and taps him on the shoulder to say, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he turns and cuts this fucking leg right off. And so of course, you get to the hospital. My dad gets to the hospital when they've just arrived, and there's blood fucking everywhere. Yeah. And he's got his gloves on already and everything. And he says to the doctor,
"Hang on
like,
a second.
What can I... Hold on, I want to finish. Like, he just says, okay. What can I do to help? And the doctor's like, here's some forceps. Reach up inside his leg and grab his artery. And so, like that kind of shit stays with you.
Yeah. Like I recently have seen 2 fatalities. And I do mean recently, within the past, one within the past 6 months and the other within the past, 3 years. Hang on a second. So what I wanted to say is WDWLTV says, I have PTSD from 4 divorces. And NANA says, I'm sorry, my dude. And then WDWL says, hey, shit happens. That's kind of what we're talking about. It's not a hey, shit happens, dude. That shit sucks, right? And WDWLTV, I have no idea if you're,
WD-40, man, we got you.
I don't know if you're man, woman in this scenario, but regardless, men need to learn how to express and respond to empathy just amongst ourselves, regardless of how women feel about that. You know what I mean? Like, regardless of if women do like it or don't like it, I think at the end of the day, we are going to be overall just better as a people if I can look at Brain and say, hey man, I'm having a really tough time right now, and instead of hearing, well, so am I, fucking tough it up, it's like I hear what you're saying, right? I hear
it. Yeah, but I'm a
sociopath,
so that's what you're gonna hear, okay?
Well, that's fine. No, that's fine. I get it, but there's a difference. Right, there's a difference between somebody responding with a joke because yeah, fuck that lady. She's not.
I was like, I know that name. Why do I know that name?
As soon as I saw it come, I was like, nah.
As soon as I saw that batshit crazy face, I was like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, right. But what I mean to say is that having that ability to be able to do so, I think ultimately makes us better, regardless of what this study is talking about. I think being able to recognize and understand. I think what's happening is we're on the pendulum swinging, right? We're on the backside of that pendulum swinging of men being emotionally intelligent and learning how to deal with, because we still have there are a lot of boomers that are still around that have that mindset of, I mean, I don't mean old people, I mean boomers from the baby boomer era, I mean,
they're old enough, but they're not,
sure.
I know what you mean, they're not like the golden,
right.
Like my dad's a boomer. I mean, they're like
right. My parents are boomers.
75, 74,
yeah.
something like that.
Right. And it's important that because we still have that mindset from, that, just rub some dirt on it and you don't have emotions. You just put your head down and 2 steps and deal with it. And there's something to be said about in the moment, being able to control an emotional reaction in the moment. But then there has to be that safe place for all of us to be able to really deal with that, or else what we're going to do is we start building up emotional scars, and that becomes much more difficult whenever it's like that soda can we've done, or the soda bottle, we fucking keep shaking it up, and eventually, whether we take that lid off or not, it's going to fucking pop. And
Mr. Andret resembled that remark.
Hey, I'm a boomer. It's all right. Are you though? I think you're Gen X, Mr. Andret. I think you're comfortably in Gen X. I know you said you're 15 years older than me.
What would Gen X max out at right now? 50 something?
55-ish? 5, 6, something like that. Something
without
like that.
Getting on the exact number, but mid-50s, I'd say. Because they're the generation between the boomers and the millennials.
Right. So from 65 to 80 is what this says, but yeah.
Rub some dirt on it. You know what? One time I got stung by a wasp, and fuck, it just tagged the shit out of me for no reason. I was just leaning on a door. I don't even know why to this day. I son of a bitch. But anyways, you know what works? Turpentine. Rub a little turpentine on it.
Yeah, that's safe. You know what else works?
Ah, come on. I'm from the old gen. I'm a little bit from the old. My grandmother used to do this. Anybody heard of a sugar poultice? Like, and no shit, this worked. Okay, so I'd get slivers like any kid.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like, my dad would be like, oh, he'd pull the knife out, and you were like, no. And so, I didn't want him to, pick it out because it hurt. So
Right.
I remember my grandmother, my Nana, she would, and this shit works. The old country, she'd get soap scum from the bar of soap on the soap thing. You go, soap scum, rub it into the Band-Aid, and then you take a little sugar, put it on the Band-Aid, you wrap the Band-Aid around it. In a couple days, it'll suck it right out of there. I don't know if it creates like a reaction that causes your skin to expand and push the sliver out. I don't know what it does, but I'm going to tell you right now, it worked like a charm. My Nana would just do that, put a Band-Aid on it. A couple days later, you pull the Band-Aid off, and the sliver would be in the Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Old people, they knew what they were doing.
I found out the hard way that if you get little nicks and cuts, you just put a little lemon juice on it, and it, they're gone.
My gran would use iodine, and it was exactly like the fucking Simpsons, where she's like, "Come here, Bart!" Ah! you're like, you know what I mean? Like, I remember being like fighting my way, like, "You can't take me, bitch!" Like,
Yeah.
but you come out from rough housing, and she'd be like, "Oh, you're all scratched up. Let's get some fucking iodine on that."
Yeah.
God
Yep.
damn
I
it.
remember we used to call it monkey's blood. So we call it in
Monkey's
school.
blood?
Monkey's blood.
Oh yeah. Well, you guys do like the clear stuff. Well, you can't even get iodine a lot of times now. Now it's it's mercurochrome you can't get.
Yeah, mercurochrome we can't get. Yeah.
Is it because it's made of fucking what was it? It had mercury in it, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it's not
They're
the
like,
mercury. But here
I get it, but I think it's still in a form that's obviously not great for you, which is why they don't have it anymore.
probably onion juice for women. Yeah, that works too because it helps draw things out. Anyway, we've chased the rabbit a little bit, but the
We do
idea
that,
of what really sparked my interest in this was talking about how the dating apps, right? So there's a section of the data, and in the video that we found, this woman, she works for Hinge, correct? And she analyzes the Hinge data.
Yeah, she's an ad, like a data. Wow, what's it actually say here? So it says that Scott Galloway and Logan, her name is Logan, which is actually a nice name for a girl. I didn't think it was a unisex name, but there you are. Scott Galloway is a member of the Advisory Council for the American Institute for Boys and Men and a professor of marketing at the New York STEM School of Business. Logan Uri is a behavioral scientist turned dating coach and director of relationship science at Hinge. So she's literally like a data analyst for Hinge is what that really
She's
is.
the one who programs the algorithms.
She's the one that gets in the boardrooms and says, so here's what's happening with all the people dating on Hinge. How do we fix it? How do we make it better? Let's face it, a lot of what she does is probably based around profits. They're trying to make it so people connect more and they get more there's some of what she does is probably not in the interest of humans, but she kind of admits that in this is the thing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But they were talking about dating apps specifically and how they have shaped this, alpha bro type mentality. Talking about, did you freeze on me or are you just really good at being a mannequin? Oh, okay, good.
I was really good at being a mannequin.
You're really good at being a mannequin. You were just like, fucking squirrels. Anyway, that's gonna be taken so out of context. Me just randomly saying "fucking squirrels," and we're like, "Oh, look, Johnny likes to fuck squirrels." So stupid.
Oh Lord.
I know.
I think we got enough context in this baby for that to not be real. Continue, sir.
Yeah, but I think one of the stats that was brought up was by the gentleman talking about that men have to swipe, like, what was it, 400 times before they get 5.
Yeah, it was
confirmed
okay.
dates?
So they have to swipe something like, I can't remember what the number was, but I remember what the final number was. He said that it was like 400 times to get 5 dates, but then what you find is that 4 out of 5 of those women will. Oh, we lost you there.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
I just
4 out
didn't
of
want
5
to
of
think
those.
you want to watch me blow my nose on fucking camera.
Oh, that's fair. 4 out of 5 of those women, he said, won't show up. They'll find a reason they don't like something or whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
they'll ghost.
we've all been ghosted to a date. I mean, whatever. But
Yeah.
they said that for whatever reason they'll either ghost them or just not show up, whatever. And so what you actually find is that a guy, the average guy, if he's not in the top 10% of like lookers, essentially,
Right.
the average guy has to like and it's like almost like 90% of the men on those apps. They will swipe, even like they said, even a decent looking dude that's not a top 10 percentile, he'll have to swipe on 1,000 women to get one coffee date.
Right.
And then they said part of the other problem is that they said if you ask, and they've done studies on this, is that if you ask men if a woman has 80% of what you're looking for, but 20% is missing 20%, they said like across the board almost men will be like, yeah, that's great, I'd love that.
Perfect.
Whereas for women, when they do the same question set and they say the same thing, that's not enough for a lot of the women. They want 100% of the stuff that they're after, and it's not in reality. One of the things, and I think I've got the timestamp here, so we can let them talk about it. But one of the things they talk about too is having like, basically like, their data shows that most women, for instance, on the app, like a majority of the women in America specifically, set 6 foot minimum on the filter. So if you're not 6 feet or over, you don't even show up on their app. And then they're saying, well, where are all the good men? But she's like, well, you filtered them out. You literally, because like if they're 5'11", they don't even show up. She said she gave it she said it's kind of like having a club, and you're in the club, but you put bouncers at the door that don't let anybody under 6 feet in, and then so all you're getting is these 6 foot Adonises basically surrounded. And of course, that's what leads to this whole thing where a lot of the women are dating the same men. And of course, this just creates this chain reaction where, women aren't getting what they want because, women are in general on those apps, in general, not everybody, is looking for like companionship and settling down and finding a significant other. But the thing is, because there's only 10% of the men being let into the bar, that their cup is running over to the point where they're not given any incentive at all to be a good person and show up to dates or date them multiple times. So there's a lot of hit it and quit it culture occurring in the men. And so then you get into the men are just pigs. They only want to use me for my body. Well, yeah, I mean, you're only letting in the top 10 percentile. So, because I think she said only 14% of men are above 6 foot. So basically, you filtered out 86% of the men. You've just said they're not even. You can't even look at them. So it's a lot of there's a lot of stuff in the data here.
We
can
talked
let them
about
talk
this.
About it in a minute here.
I'm going to say one thing, and then we'll let them talk about it. But one of the things that we talked about in the pre-show in the green room was talking about how that women, well, not just women, but people in general, but dating apps specifically, when you're looking at this, you have this idealistic version of what your perfect partner is, and then you have this other version of what you think a perfect partner is, and it's this one that is very restrictive, that doesn't allow these ideals to come in, and it's like they don't match, they're not the same thing. So when you find like physically what you're looking for, be it Adonis or be it the fact that he's got a 6-figure bank account, you know what I mean, whatever, and then
which is a big one.
That's right. So like we're talking about financial stability, which granted is important. Financial stability is
I've got a
important,
timestamp. One of the first timestamps
we'll get there,
to get into that a little bit. So
let's do that before we got a half hour left. So
yeah, half hour or so. We started a little. Oh, wait, we already going? Well, we're already going an hour. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Well, we'll try to get a little bit into this, and then we won't. We're trying to keep them like an hour and a half, give or take.
Yeah. We can always do part 2 next week.
Yeah, we could. I mean, there's nothing wrong with talking about this. And like I said, I want to preface this again that these are opinions. These people look at data, but these are opinions. We're not presenting this as evidence of factuality. We're presenting this as a conversation that we're engaging in.
Right.
So, let me grab my host screen here. I think I got it set up. Yeah, here we go. So I'm going to start with letting them at 6 minutes. Because they do a little bit of introducing themselves. So at 6 minutes, we can start with the first kind of like question
that
here.
falls in a young man's.
I'm trying to get it to go back a bit further.
To try and
You know, if you hit
And
the
also,
arrow key, it'll go
I
back 5
was
seconds.
close to being one of these men. I didn't have a lot of economic or romantic
We got this.
prospects when I was a
Hold
young
on,
man.
it's a big ass
But
stream, so I don't
there
want to
were
touch it right now because I'm
programs
just
and an
wait. See, the arrow
environment
goes
where
what,
I
10
could be
seconds?
successful.
5
And I
seconds.
worry that some of the temptations of
Oh, I
technology,
don't know
the
if I get the
economic
right thing here.
trends, I could have very
I'm keen to understand from your perspectives what you think like the first domino that falls in a young man's life or a young boy's life that causes the outcomes we're talking about today. Like, where is the first place to start?
So the research I've looked at, and Richard Reeves from the American Institute of Boys and Men has done good research here. The point of failure, if you reverse engineered issues to, is when a boy loses a male role model. And that is, in the U.S., we have the second most single family parent homes behind Sweden. And what's interesting is that in single parent homes, girls actually have similar outcomes, similar rates of high school attendance, income, rates of self-harm. Boys, once they lose a male role model, become much more likely to be incarcerated, engage in criminal activity, harm themselves. It ends up that while being physically stronger, boys are emotionally and mentally much weaker. So the loss of a male role model is, I would argue, kind of the first point of failure that predicts that a boy is going to struggle. And that has impacts on family court, economic policy, and just general zeitgeist in our society.
2
where
seconds.
Yeah,
Men
feel
need-
free to jump in whenever you want, man.
I think this is where, I mean, I think this is incomplete because he doesn't address the fact that it's not just losing, a male role model. It's not just losing a father figure in the house. It's that, again, generationally and societally, we don't teach young boys how to deal with emotion. That's why I think this data, that's why, when we were talking about this in before the stream, it's important. I don't think they're considering all of the variables, all of the factors. I think they're making some inferences and some opinions based solely on this data, and they're not looking at how are these young men or these boys taught how to deal with emotion, and they're just not. Generation, we just don't do it.
Yeah, yeah. They have long talking points, and the thing is, by the way, anybody wants to watch this, I actually encourage you to watch it. It was really insightful. It's 2.5 hours long.
Yeah.
So there is a link in the description, and you can go find this there if you want to see it there. It's worth taking a look at, and you don't have to hear our stupid asses interject and stuff. But at the same time, in order to watch it here, this is how we do it.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we are stealing. So
Right.
I think most people that watch the channel understand that at this point, but some
Yeah.
people come in, they might not get that.
need to step up. If we want better men, we need to be better men. We need to step into that void.
Another one that Richard Reeves talks about is that there's not enough men in the education system. So I
100%.
believe when Tim Waltz was a teacher, 1 out of 3 teachers in his school was a man, but now it's like 24%.
Yeah.
And so where do kids spend most of their time? In school, and who's teaching them? Mostly not men.
And you think, well, women can be fantastic teachers, and it's
Right.
true. But after school programs, not as many coaches that typically are male, not as much compensation, so they don't get rewarded for being coaches. And if you just think about it logically, who does a teacher champion? A teacher champions someone that reminds them of themselves when they were a kid. So, and also just look at there's incredible bias, I would argue, against males in school. A boy is twice as likely to be suspended on a behavior adjusted basis, twice as likely to be suspended for the exact same infraction as a girl, 5 times as likely if it's a black boy. And once you're suspended twice, it probably means you're not going to college. In addition, look at the behaviors we promote in school. Sit still, be a pleaser, be organized, raise your hand. You basically just described a girl. And also, quite frankly, a lot of the jobs that require tertiary education attainment, there's more women now in law school and medical school, and quite frankly, good for them. They're just better at that. They're better students. They deserve to make more money. They deserve it. But the reality is, it has huge ramifications when we no longer have wood, auto, or metal shop. They've gone away.
Right.
So those used to be a pass.
Now I'm from a mill town, so that's obviously dependent on a lot of factors,
Yeah.
right? I'm from a rural area. The main employer in town was a massive pulp and paper mill, and we have there's an entire wing of the high school that was just auto bays and metal shops and
Right.
wood shops. So the thing is, that obviously depends on where you are. I think if you're in like a city school, then maybe the the wood shop is smaller, the metal shop is smaller because they're, you're in a metropolis. There's less need for it. You take like he says here in a minute. I think there's a lot of computer sciences and a lot of things that aren't physical with your hands. But of course, a lot of the ways that men have traditionally worked for a lot of times with the hands. Now, this might go part and parcel with what Trump is talking about with like bringing manufacturing back to America. Because, if there's more manufacturing, then that does create more avenues of income that aren't .com style kind of businesses. Like, let's face it, he's right. Financial, lawyers, like sales stuff. I mean, women tend to excel at a lot of jobs, and good. And like, I agree, good for them. It's fantastic, really.
Oh, but again, I think
it's led to things.
I think the premise of his argument is flawed. Because
I think that some of his arguments are slightly flawed. So continue, please.
Well, because he talks about, we got rid of auto shop and wood shop and all this stuff. No, I mean, it's not. It's probably a little less prevalent across the board than it was when we were growing up. But my high school, we had all that wood shop, auto shop, all that stuff. And I went to I went to 2 different high schools, and both high schools had programs like that. Now, the high school I went to didn't have auto shop because it was more of a suburban school. There were different things for kids to do. Some schools are geared more towards the arts. Some schools are geared more towards the sciences. Some schools are geared more towards the manufacturing type shit, right? So, but that was like area dependent. Like statewide, I think we still have the same amount. Statewide, I think we still have the same amount of auto body shop classes in Texas that we did when I was a kid. So when he says that those things went away, they didn't go away. It just changed. We did have to keep up with the times because when I was a kid, computers were really starting to fucking like take off. You know what I mean? Like we saw what happened. IBM used to be as big as this damn apartment that I'm in. Now we have computers that sit in our fucking pockets. And
the computer on your phone is like 1,000 times more powerful than the ones we sent to the moon and stuff.
Exactly. So
it's like 1,000 might not even be. It might even be more than that. It's like the computing power you have in a fucking iWatch.
Right.
Like could run the entire Apollo mission.
Right.
Like the computers at NASA and everything.
Right. So if you're looking at
Apollo watch.
Yeah, if you're looking, they should have an Apollo watch. That would make sense.
That would be fun. I'm realizing this now. I said that and I was like, boy.
Damn, I fucked up.
If you could get the branding rights on that,
Yep. Anyway. But if you take a look at like from the 60s to now, we're only talking 60 years, 70 years? And how quickly it really ramped up. Because, when computers first came out, they were too bulky and too cumbersome, and we still really didn't know what was going on with them. And like you said, it wasn't, you had humans that was like your original computer. People don't know that. Some people don't know that. But your original computer was a human being doing math on paper. And then
that's what my grandfather did in the World War II.
Right.
He had those massive hearing aids that he had to like turn up and down because they had the tubes in the ears.
Yeah.
And that's because all day long it was artillery because they would radio back like, where the bad guys are or whatever. I don't know how it works, but they would say like, I guess on a map, like a quadrant or something to hit with the artillery.
Yeah.
And then they would radio back. And my grandfather, my bumpa, he would basically, he was good at math. So he would like very quickly, they'd pull the maps out. They'd do the whole thing where they figure out how far it is. He would do the trigonometry, I think it is.
He would come up with the firing solution.
He would come up with the firing solution, and then they would, he'd tell it to the guy beside him, and they would like, whatever degrees and all that stuff,
right.
And then do. So of course his hearing was just fucked because like all day long it was just artillery going off.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was his job. Nowadays you they have an app for that probably. Like they probably learn how to do it by hand in case the technology. But let's face it, they have a computer.
Nowadays they got some little kid
GPS
playing,
and shit.
Yeah, they got some little kid playing Call of Duty. That's really what they're doing. It's why that's a conspiracy theory, right? Is we got all the kids on Call of Duty.
It's like the movie Toys. It's the movie Toys where they had them all running like like bombing runs, and it turns out they
Actual,
were
yeah.
like actually running
Yep.
bombing runs and stuff.
Yep.
It's a great idea, by the way. You get a kid, you'd be like, here, you're gonna get 100 tokens if you bomb this facility. Kids just dodging everything, and
Yeah.
they're like, fuck, we
Don't-
can't
don't
get a
give a
better
shit.
pilot than that asshole.
Right. So you saw the Ender's Game, you see the movie too, but in the story where they're training children to play these simulations, and it turns out they're not actually doing the simulations. Oh, I'm sorry, spoiler alert.
If it's an old enough movie, it's game.
It is. We're past it. It's an old enough story. But anyway, schools had to adjust. They had to adapt. I remember when we didn't have computers. I'm sure a lot of people didn't have computers in school. We had to go to. I remember when computer labs became a thing. So there was a special room you would go to the computer lab. And then computers eventually made it into the classroom. But it was like after I graduated, because I graduated still having to go to the computer lab to type up my papers. So,
Well, I remember going to the computer lab, like the library in some places, but like the
Yeah.
computer corner of the library, and doing like. Actually, if you think about it, it's funny because this wouldn't be like allowed, like the shit. Okay, so there was this typing game, where the words come across the screen. You
Yep.
got to type and
Yep.
like not make mistakes, right? That's
Yep.
how you learn to type.
Yep.
And it was okay. I shit you not. Okay, we're in like I don't know what grade we're in. We're elementary school kids, and the game was there was like a windshield of a car and a hood, and a steering wheel, and the letters would come by in the clouds. And when you'd fucking get one wrong, a bullet hole would come through the windshield. like I'm not joking. Boom! There'd be a shot in the windshield, crack outwards and stuff. It was like you think back on things like that. You're like, man, that was a lot of fun when I was doing that. You're like, that shit would never be allowed
Never.
now.
No,
It'd
not
be
at
like,
all.
who the fuck bought this?
No. But so
yeah.
schools had to adapt, they had to adjust and they had to adapt because they saw the times that were coming and the times that were changing. So they needed to get people prepared to be able to do these computer jobs, computer science. I remember computer science being in my senior year. I had computer science. That was cool as shit. No, I'm sorry, it was my sophomore year. Computer science for my sophomore year. But again, still in the computer lab, it was cool as shit, right? We learned how to code things. We coded video games. We coded all kinds of shit, right? But that was new. That was relatively new. I think my older brother had computer science as a special elective that he had to get permission for because he scored high enough in like all the math bullshit. But so that's where the flaw is. Like this is a big roundabout way to get back to saying that this guy's argument is a little flawed because he's making the assumption that these classes still aren't available. And I don't think that's accurate. I think it is available. It's just that we had to shift focus because we saw the future and where these things like people don't really build cars by hand anymore. It's all done by a machine. Fixing cars is a little different. So yes, I can still see where we need some, auto shop and whatnot. I get it. But again, it's still there. We still have them. We still have these courses and classes. It's just going to be regionally dependent. And he's not considering the fact that he's not considering the fact that for up until very recently we haven't really made it a point to teach men how to respond constructively to emotional stimulus.
I'm just joking. I had to. I wanted to say, have you tried these?
Fuck,
No, anyways, I was
this is
having
what
fun with it.
happens
But
when you give somebody with ADHD a new toy.
let's look at there's like you can do this, like you can do.
Yeah.
There's buttons in this. This is a new app. We're using EV Mux or whatever, so it's like
Yep.
StreamYard but different. But here, let's because we'll just keep going. Let's get into a little bit more of this here. I've jumped forward to. This is okay. So I want to get to this one and the next one if we can here, and then basically it's 2754 here. It's like I think I'm in the right place. I'm almost there. It's like it says the note I put is women say there aren't any good men anymore.
Especially when you think about having fewer babies.
I want to get into dating and marriage and love and all those things. One of the things that really shocked me as I was preparing for this conversation was this graph, because this isn't the narrative that we hear. Can you both?
I'm just gonna pause there for 1 second there. So this is showing a reverse gender pay gap. So Now they do preface this. I want to point out that they preface this. Now, this is only true until women, and I'll use Scott's words because I thought it was so elegantly put, until women deploy their ovaries, which I thought was a really funny way of saying have babies. But
What we're talking about, it's important to know that we're talking about this being in pounds. So we're talking about over in the old
yeah,
country.
it's not much difference, but I think there's still a difference, and so that's. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know what a pound to an American dollar is. I know it's almost double. For
Well,
a
no. What I
dollar,
mean
so-
is, I don't mean because of the conversion rate. I mean because the data is coming from Europe.
Oh, it's all an English study. It's
Yeah.
a British study. So
Right.
that's why. But they know they've done enough studies that these are kind of replicated in most Western markets is the thing. So they're just
Let's find out.
But it's a very full study here. So let's keep going for a
Let's
second.
see this one. This is the reverse gender gap.
Oh, yeah.
Gender pay gap graph.
Right.
And it shows that young women are now out earning young men. That's not what I heard. In terms of like, if I log onto social media, we've been trying to fight the gender pay gap, but to see that young men are now falling behind, both in education, both in unemployment. Young men face higher unemployment, nearly twice the rate of women. Looking at the early developmental stats, this graph was horrifying. I actually couldn't believe that was true.
So I didn't actually get a chance to look at this one. Early development gap between boys and girls widens. Children age 5 meeting early years development goals. So it's 74% of women, or 70 to 74% of women, like girls, and 56 to 58% of boys in some cases, 60 on that one. Children with good level of development. Children at expected level across all early. So it's significantly lower. Anyways, we'll keep
Really?
going here.
That young boys are struggling so much in education, but then to see also that it's reflected in
So that graph shows that boys age 16 to 24 are making 10% less in full-time employment than women. And so it is true that we're seeing a reverse income graph. But what we do need to talk about is even when women make more in their 20s, that changes around age 30.
And they have kids.
When they have kids,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
It's like this meteorite hits.
That was such a
and there's this
misogynistic thing
huge
for him to
burden.
do, by the way.
I thought that's funny you say that because I was like, when I was listening to this while I was working to try to get timestamps, and I was like, it was like, there's this pause, like, motherfucker, did you just cut me off?
Yeah.
I don't think he's trying to. He's doing. I do that to people. Like, it's like a. I don't know. Some people engage in conversation that way. You like jump in. You're trying to like.
Yeah.
You're trying to like show that you agree with them and that you understand what they're
Right.
saying. But
Right.
it looked at from a different lens, it could be seen as like.
Yeah, I was making a joke because I do that as well,
I do
right?
that
I think
too.
that's like the social anxiety and ADHD that kind of like rears its ugly head.
You're trying to like jump in and like show people that you're like with them almost, but
Right.
it can come across as like you're not listening. You're trying to lead a conversation, right?
Exactly.
100%.
And-
I know exactly what he was doing because I do it, and it does. It's not a great practice socially, which is why it made me laugh when he did it because there's a slight pause there for a second before she continues, and I'm
Yeah.
like, that's awesome.
Yeah, she was. You could tell that was the thing. She was not having it there, but she was like, you know what? I'm gonna continue answering the question.
Well, it's social construct. She knew she just
Yeah.
had to keep going. So I mean, I get it. But here, the timestamp I'd gone to is actually in like 20 seconds.
Placed on women. And I think that's a big part of the conversation that we'll talk about when we talk about dating is women still feel like they have to have, do all the household chores and raise the kids, but suddenly they have to earn a full-time income too.
100%.
And so many of the gender roles are changing. And so, yes, that graph is true. We have seen since 2020 that there's a shift, but I don't want to just say, oh, women are making more in perpetuity, because as soon as there's kids involved, they pay the price.
Do you know you said that women feel the need to then also earn a career and all those things? Where did that come from?
Well, there's this idea of hypergamy. So traditionally, women seek partners who have more economic or social status than they do. And for most of human history, this worked because men had the resources. And so there was sort of this arrangement where women could often marry someone who is more educated or earned more. But over the last 50 years, that's really changed. And so what I'm seeing in my work, working one-on-one with women, is that when they say that there aren't enough good guys to go around, that's actually true. So we now have this huge mating gap where we have these high performing, high earning women that have done the work and gone to therapy and work out, and they're ready for their great partner, but they're not able to find enough guys who are available. And if this is a problem now with the women I work with in their 30s, we are going to be facing a much more severe crisis 10, 15 years from now. So currently 60% of college enrollment is women, but soon it's going to be for every 2 women that graduate, it'll be 1 man. So that means half of those women will not have a guy who graduated from college. And so this is a crisis because these women are saying, okay, if you cannot be the provider, then you need to be offering more. Emotional intelligence is the new currency in dating. But these guys were raised not to be emotionally intelligent, not to give emotional support, but to be a provider. And so they've been chasing this lion. I'm going to hunt for this lion of being a provider. But suddenly they're told you need to hunt for a tiger, which is emotional intelligence. They don't have the skills to do that. And so women have raised the bar in terms of what they need from men, while men are continuously falling behind.
Yeah, there's
I think that's the important part that she brings in that he doesn't, and I think it's important that she brings that in because it is extremely
I
important.
thought it was
when we're talking
important
about-
that she was there for this conversation. I feel like if it was 2
100%.
men, if it was a table of 3 men talking about this, because there's the interviewer. I don't really count him as he's kind of leading the conversation, right? But yeah, if it was 2 guys just talking about this, I don't think we'd be talking about it right now. It's the fact that she's able to weigh in. That's the only reason. We're 2 guys talking about it, but I don't have any fucking actually part of me had said like maybe we invite Shiz on or something, but I'm like like the thing is like I feel like I just didn't want anybody to think like I didn't want Shiz to think that any of this was supposed to be like because I mean we've never talked about this kind of stuff. I mean I don't talk to Shiz about this kind of stuff, so I didn't want to put anybody in the situation where they maybe felt uncomfortable with the topic.
Right.
I'd love to have Shiz on. I just didn't want to have, I just thought, I was thinking to myself, like, who could I bring on that would be like a woman that we could, so that we could cut the testosterone a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Let's dilute the testosterone here. But no, I think the points that she make, again, the same points that I made earlier, but talking about that it's important that we remember that men have not, just traditionally and historically, have not been conditioned, I should say, disciplined or educated on how to be emotionally available and intelligent. That's something that, and I don't think it's going to be as dire as she thinks it is, right? So I think that both of them are kind of taking like this.
Well, I think we're the dire. Sorry, go ahead, please.
I don't think it's nihilistic view. I want to say I say fatalistic, but that's the wrong fucking word. Fatalistic is the wrong word. But it's like this really like doomsday prepper kind of point of view on this, where if we go, we're continuing this here. That's okay. No, you're good. I get it. That shit used to irritate me. I'm trying to be better about it. So don't worry. I do the same shit.
I'm working on myself as an interviewer and host.
Right. So as we get farther away from like the expectation, right? So the expectation, that's the pendulum coming back this way, right? Because for so long it's been going this way when it comes to men and how we deal with emotion. And now we've hit the apex of it, and it's starting to creep back. And the apex was, hey, women expect you to be emotionally intelligent. And there was like a resistance to that. There still is a bit of resistance.
Wait, this isn't Fresh and Fit?
I don't know which one. I'm fresh because I just took a shower before the show. But
no, have you ever seen, do you not know what he's talking about? Do you know what a Fresh and Fit is? Oh, I think Fresh and Fit, I've never really watched it, but I'm pretty sure it's like, there's like the Whatever podcast and stuff. Like the one, surely you've seen the Whatever podcast.
Yeah.
I'm going to send you some review material afterwards. They tend to be a little bit more on the misogynistic side of, I think, the podcast community. Fresh and Fit is another one that you would argue probably, they probably make some decent points at times, but at the same time, I think the angle that they come at is a lot more misogynistic. So I'm not making an accusation of a show. I actually literally have never watched a Fresh and Fit. I've just seen it referenced enough time that I feel like it's in that same category. I'm going to send you some Whatever podcast like clips afterwards and you'll be like, oh, I see.
Yeah.
That's the one where they. Oh, I'm not even gonna talk about it. But
It's the one where there's like three bros and one they had like this one episode they were talking about.
yeah, they got like there's always like a white studio, and they're always sitting at a table, and they've got the girl. They always bring on like OnlyFans models and stuff like that. And then,
Okay, I do know what you're talking about.
like,
Yes,
it's actually a really fun podcast. But I mean, there's times when it's like, like the one guy that he brings on all the time is like a hardcore right wing Christian.
Yeah.
And so it's like some of the like
It's like Tim Pool.
do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit like, I mean, the one guy always brings up like their Christianity and stuff, and so for me, like that argument is so kind of played out.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a religious person personally. Beaver, I don't want to ever hear that damn air horn again. Yeah, that's fair, Raven. I agree. I was fucking around. I'm gonna let him finish a point here real quick, and then I want to jump to one last timestamp so we can finish that before we finish today, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Here, because and then we can always hit this topic another day. And again, this is a really long podcast, so trying to find like in 2.5 hours, trying to find like there's
Trying
so
to
much
whittle
context.
that down to an hour and a half.
Yeah,
is
and like
difficult in itself.
this is the thing. I really encourage everybody to, not just because this is this person's content, so for that reason as well, but also because I feel like there is so much conversational context lost when we're
Right.
turning it into 2-minute audio chunks,
Yeah.
like audio segments. So I feel like if at any point you feel like, oh, this is all one-sided, if you watch the whole thing, it isn't. It's a lot more. Again, it's hard to condense a conversation that is, because there's a lot of time where there's been 3-4 minutes where it's just Scott and what was her name again?
Logan.
Logan. It's just Scott and Logan like conversing back and forth and communicating, and so there's a lot of nuances that are lost in here. Okay, that's all I'm trying to get at.
There's some nuance around the pay thing. So
Ah,
the data
go ahead.
I've seen is that women under the age of 30
Damn,
in
I've
urban
lost it
areas
again.
are now making more money.
You lost it again?
Yeah, it's a black screen of death for me. Stupid.
Well, what we can do is we can do this, and then we can come back again. Here.
Yeah.
Does it
Yep.
come in?
Yep.
That's so fuck. They're having troubles.
Yeah.
But to your point, the moment they have kids, where corporate America has really failed is it hasn't figured out a way to maintain a woman's professional trajectory once she decides to deploy her ovaries and have kids.
There it is.
And there's some data saying, okay, 2/3 of divorce can be reverse engineered to the man starting to make less money. When the woman in the relationship starts making more money, they become twice as likely to get divorced, 3 times as likely to use ED drugs because the guy loses a sense of purpose and self-esteem. What gets lost in that data is the reality is if a woman is stepping up and stepping into the economic void and being more economically, being a greater economic contributor, then logically it would make sense that men need to step up logistically. And I think what a lot of women are saying is like, okay, I'm not getting anything. You're no longer a provider. And by the way, you haven't filled that void. You haven't made up the delta. Mm-hmm. So there's some nuance around it. What also I think is important to say is that if women are better students and showing the discipline and the skills to go to college in an information economy and making more money, then okay, good on them. Just as for whatever reason, men made more money. Maybe it wasn't fair, but it's not a crime against humanity if women have the skills to make more money. What happens though is the second order effects that you're talking about, and that is, we don't like to talk about this, 75% of women say that economic viability is hugely important in a mate. Only 25% of men. For men, it's not a criteria. For women, it is. And Chris Williamson of the Modern Wisdom podcast, he has this great stat, or he calls it the high heels effect. And that is 50% of women say they won't date a man shorter than them. I'm curious what you think, but I think it's more like 80%. I think it's an embarrassing thing to say because just instinctively, women feel like they'll be vulnerable during gestation and they want someone they think physically could protect them. I just think it's hardwired into
Now that's opinion. He says it. I feel like that's
I think
it's kind of a.
Here's where I'll
facts there, but.
well, this is where I'll extend him a little bit of grace because there are some behavioral sciences that would suggest that he is probably
100%.
correct,
Yeah,
right?
There's some support in the data that would.
That is supported. It is an opinion, but that is definitely supported by the data. And I got to say, ladies, I know some quote short kings out there that'll fuck a big dude up. Okay, So don't let height be the determining factor whether or not there's a squirrely motherfucker, okay? I've seen some little guys just go to fucking town on some big dudes.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just jump to because I mean I don't want to run out of time here. So I'm gonna because they're leading up to the next part here anyways, which is because we're only about a minute away from the next timestamp I have, which is right here. So let me pull this back just a hair. Okay, so and then and that's kind of that led to this.
relationships, and the bottom half are not long-term or very good behavior.
I just got to say,
So
my
that
man's got
everybody
some
are in the
fucking
top
pythons,
10%
man.
can
Look at
engage-
them cannons.
Oh no. He's listen. There's a. I implore people to go watch it. There is a very recent TED Talk that he's on where he talks and he goes through the data, graphs, everything, and he talks about the loss of economic opportunity for boys and girls, young men and women. And he talks about the stock market. He talks about how much money's been gained by the top X many percent, and he really breaks it down and shows you that there is a lot of lost opportunity because his generation has sucked up a lot of the wealth. Now he's not
Yeah.
going to give you his money when he says that, which is fair, but it doesn't change the fact that his stock portfolio's never done better, but young people are struggling.
Yes,
So,
because there's only so much wealth when it comes to that. But I was talking about that
exactly.
dude's fucking arms. Look at him.
Oh
man.
no! And he's
pythons
he
there.
coaches. Yeah, he coaches. Listen, one of the things he says, he says he coaches boys, and he says, look in the mirror. He says, would you have sex with you? He said the first thing you need to do is like go lift some weights, go get in shape, like because women and the female agrees with him. Logan there agrees with him.
You
the
know,
female.
this
She
is what,
and she says that because the data does show that basically that women are still very much attracted to masculine traits, right?
and here's where I kind of dissent on this a little bit, right? So we ask men to be emotional. Yeah, right. We ask men, demand of men that they need to be more, like he talks about, feeling the delta, right? The emotional intelligence, right? That support. But we don't ask women to lower their fucking unrealistic standards. Like, because if you look, if you go to a CrossFit gym, everybody there is going to be jacked. But if you go into the real world, you're talking 10% of the world's population.
I saw a comedian there saying the other day that like he said, you find a good man, it's like and the young girls are like, can he still have abs? He goes, no. He goes, no, they can't. He said they have one ab.
Yeah.
Like, and he just shows his stomach.
Right.
They get one ab. They don't get abs. They get
abs,
one ab.
But yeah,
because
the
they're
thing
normal
is,
people.
you have to. You got to remember that. I think it's kind of shitty that we are saying that it's like the onus is completely on us. Because his and that's that old mentality. Well, you need to get in there and work out. Whereas I think that everybody should go to the gym and exercise, or not necessarily go to the gym, but get exercise to be healthy, right?
Everybody to be healthy.
Right. For me, it's not about I have personal goals for myself, right? When it comes to what I do in the gym, but those are my personal goals. I just want to see people be more healthy overall. So I think that we need to tell women and maybe probably some men too that they need to lower the fucking standards. Because
see, three run, they talk about this eventually at some point. We're not going to get there today, but they do.
Yeah, but we need, again, ladies, lower your fucking standards a little bit. The Adonises, you're talking about 10% of the world's population. They're going to fit into that fucking box.
This is literally the part I'm leading into here. So they're going to mention this. They're going to talk about this a little bit. So we'll let them do it here a bit. So we're just going to let them run through it here for a second.
Engage in Porsche polygamy. They can get a date every guy.
back.
Are in the top 10 on a date.
Right.
Where are the men? Or there's no men? There's a lot of men, just not men they'd want to date.
Right.
And then you speedball it with the guys who are in the top 10% can engage in Porsche polygamy. They can get a date every goddamn night, which does not encourage long-term or very good behavior. So the guys they all want are not incented to enter into long-term relationships. And the bottom half of men are literally shut out of the mating market. And we always kind of, and this goes to your ballywick, kind of portray men as the predators and the idiots and they just got their act together. There's something strange going on in that as online dating, when a woman can go out with a guy, a high status male, and I'll put forward this thesis and I want you to respond to it. She can have sex with him, which gives her the impression that's her weight class for a relationship. but he's not interested in a relationship. And then she basically decides the bottom 90 are no longer in her weight class. And you can't tell a woman to lower her expectations.
I just
but
did.
the reality is,
Yeah.
and what the data I've seen on dating apps is that all of the women want the same few guys, and they shut out the rest.
Yeah, okay, so
So
there's a
let
few
her
things
get
I'll
into
respond
this.
to there. So one, going back to the income graph, I want to just call out that yes, right now in a few urban markets, women are making more than men. So women in DC and New York under 30 are making more than men on average, but in most situations, men are still making more than women, but we're talking about a projection. Going back to the dating research. So yes, it's exactly as you described. What we have right now is there's fewer and fewer men that are hypergamous mates for women. So if there's a much smaller pool of guys, then what you have is you have a bunch of women competing for the same men, and then a bunch of guys get ignored. But what I also see is that those top guys are having a hard time deciding. So I feel like in my coaching practice as a dating coach, I'm working with a lot of women who say, what do I do? I've changed my profile the way you said I should. I took your class, but I still feel like there's just not enough great guys. And then I work with these CEO men who are having such a hard time choosing. And so I think we really have this exacerbated problem where so many women are competing for the same men, and then a bunch of guys are getting ignored. And then what ends up happening is, where do those guys go? And they go online. That's what you see.
They go to porn.
They go to porn, or they go to Reddit. I mean, I love Reddit, but they're really going to some of these red-pilled communities. And so what you're seeing now is just men really opting out of society. So when you go back to that stat, 1 in 7 young men in the UK is NEET, not an employment, education, or training. They have just opted out. And as Scott says, there's nothing scarier than a single man, a young single man. And so we are just creating a lot of these angry young single men who are saying, well, this is rigged against me. And so that's why I am worried about the rise of people like Andrew Tate. And if we wonder, where are the dads, where are the men? Well, men are finding these father figures, but they're finding them online, and they're not the father figures that I would choose for the majority of men.
So I'm gonna stop it there for a second.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I just want to look at my note real quick and see if it's yeah, I mean, I feel like if we give them another, let's give them another second here, because I feel like it leads into one more point here, but I might be wrong. So let's
And
just
so
let it cook
I'm
for
really
1 second.
worried about this, because I feel like women are saying, guys, you need to step up because I can provide and I don't need that from you. And guys are not prepared to rise to the occasion.
What are women looking for? Scott talked about height.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think.
So I would say, I work at Hinge, but I do think that apps have perpetuated this issue around height, because if you can set your height filter to something, then you might set it higher. And then it's as if you have the dating app is a club, and you're literally having bouncers that prevent a bunch of guys from even getting into the club. So many women in the US set their height filters at 6 feet, but only 14% of men in the US are 6 feet or taller. So what happens to the other 86% of men? And women are saying, where's my guy? It's like, well, he's not even showing up on your app. And so a huge thing that I push women to do is to change their height filters and just say, there is nothing that proves that you're going to have a successful long-term relationship if the guy is higher. I'm married to a short king. I love it. I feel like I really found this gem. And I think that so many women are missing out on great potential partners because of things like height.
Yeah, Zer0, I don't know how to pronounce that. Zer0's, oh man,
Zyklin.
that's gonna,
Zer0
How the fuck
Zyklin.
did you, Zer0 Zyklin, and I apologize for butchering the shit out of that. It says, "Aw, common man, it's the dating mark. Aw, common man." I don't know how to take this comment. We are not livestock or wild animals. It's not a mating market. We have sex and so, no, they're referring to it like in You gotta take the emotions out of things like this. It's or maybe I'm misreading that too, but yeah, it's I don't think they're trying to diminish women or men in this. This study is based around scientific, and a scientific term is mating. I mean, they're not talking about mating like having sex necessarily. I think they're talking about all aspects of mating. Like,
Well, so
finding
mating,
a mate.
yeah, mating
is
not specifically inherent to sexual intercourse. Mating has always been pairing pairing of two
Yeah.
people. That's mating, right?
The joining of two people. Now,
Right.
obviously, we've taken mating at. I'm just being a nut. Yeah, no, that's fair. Hey, I like the conversation. I appreciate it. But because it allows us to riff with you and talk with you. But yeah, I mean, I think in this case, I think that like sometimes, I mean, we're all guilty of it, right? We take certain terminologies people use and we try
Yeah,
to
well,
sometimes-
colloquial maskings. we
Yeah,
call it,
and the thing is, a lot of the times, you can get there's just different ways of referring to things, and sometimes I think the intention is missed.
Right.
But I get what you're saying too. You're not actually jumping at anything. You just, I just thought this was interesting information. Now, the longer this is like, we're at 30. We're not gonna get through this. Obviously, we weren't trying. We're at 36 minutes. We've only watched like 4 sections, maybe at most.
Right.
This is very long. I encourage you to go to the link in the description and listen to it. It covers a lot of things, and the main point of the entire conversation is just around. It's really around boys and men, suicide, and just trying to talk about the conversation of trying to help society as a whole. Because what they're trying to get to here is that it's not like they're not taking the approach that Andrew Tate and people would take, where it's like women need to just accept these men and like that they need to somehow reduce their standards. That's actually not the argument. I mean, to a certain degree, in some regards, I think that they're saying that when it comes to their criteria for mate selection. But I think it's really more about a conversation about pointing out where society is currently and the things it's leading to, right or wrong. So I mean, the idea is that these young single men that aren't getting attention, and it's partly because of the gamification of dating through our apps. It's creating this almost like, well, he says it like an asexual subgroup of humans, of males that they're angry, and of course that's what's leading to a lot of this right-wing populism around the globe. To be honest with you, that's actually what's fueling it.
Yeah.
So
and I can kind of I can see
it's
the
about solving society is the thing.
I can see the arguments being made there, and I think that what the apps have done, they've just magnified a problem that's always been there. You know what I mean? Because I don't know what you did before you were married. I don't know if like the bar scenes. that you would go
Apartheid.
to. Yeah,
That's actually really fucking good.
yeah.
Holy shit!
I saw that.
It's discrimination against short people. Apartheid.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, sorry,
But again, I don't know what you did to. I don't know how you met your current wife. I know that before I was married, I was running around bar scenes and whatnot and different things. It was always just the same thing, right? It just was more localized because I wasn't dealing with having to compete with thousands and thousands and thousands of users on an app. Where I might be dealing with like 50 to 100 people in total at the bar that I was at. You know what I mean? So getting dates was a little different. Mate selection was a little different because you're not competing against the entirety of the fucking city that you're living in. You're competing with the entirety of the building that you're in. So,
did you? Okay, hold on. That actually. Hold on. Okay, so what's funny? This was the funniest fucking scene ever. Where is it here? Please. Everybody's seen Hot Tub Time Machine, right?
oh yeah,
Or I assume. It's the part where he says, "Oh man, let me just see." Oh, is it right here? I'm not gonna find it. But okay, so there's the part where he's like the younger guy is he's dancing with the girl or whatever, and he goes, when she goes to leave, he goes, "How am I?" He's like, "How do I find you? How do I?" Or how do we get together? How do I call you? She goes, "You come find me," she says, all drunk.
yeah.
He goes, "Just sounds so exhausting," and it's because that's how it used to be. You'd be at the club, you dance with the girl or whatever. She'd wander away, and then you might not see her again ever. She's fucking dancing somewhere else in the club, and it was like, if you wanted to find her, you literally had to go looking for her, which in some ways is creepy, but at the same time, maybe you were having a good conversation, so you might be while you're getting a drink or whatever, you'd be like, "Oh shit, there she is." You'd be like, "Sarah," and you'd head over there, and it was much more Whereas now it's just everybody's able to like text each other and message
Yeah,
each other,
that's what
and
I mean.
everything's
Like
just,
the distance that we've created between us. You know, it was like I forgot what the quote is, but you know, we're so much more quote connected now, but yet we're still so far apart. We're actually farther apart because it's easy to, you know, like I said, I could pick this thing up and then when I get a message, instantly reply, or I could, you know, put this thing down and I get a message and then hours later I come back to my phone and, oh, I got a message, but then I'll get back to it in a minute and I swipe it away. You know what I mean? It's so different. The way that we do just interaction in general, not even just in the dating system, right?
yeah, no, 100%. And it was. I wish I could have found that scene for the people who haven't seen it. It's just the way she's like, cause half bagged, eh?
Yeah.
How will I connect with you again? You come find me.
Yeah.
It's like,
But yeah, that's
the
how it
old
used to be
days when
done,
we didn't have
you
cell
know?
phones and stuff, right?
Yeah, you actually
You
had to
know?
go and mingle and talk to people. Fuck.
Like
'cause
when
know-
I was in high school, we didn't have cell phones. Like I had
yeah.
a cell phone
Yeah.
that like it was like a Nokia non-flip kind of thing,
Yep.
and it was really like nobody else had cell phones. So really, all it was about was like calling my parents or something like that.
Yeah, right.
And that was because my parents owned a business that was like an on-call phone that nobody ever fucking phoned. Except
Yep.
for the one time somebody did, and I didn't know what the hell they were talking about. They were probably very confused too. When I think back on it, I'm like, well, they were looking for service, and I was not the right person.
Right.
But he said, like, nobody ever phones that. In the entire time I had the phone, it only rang one time with somebody looking for the on-call person. So, I mean, you know, there is
Yeah, I mean,
that.
yeah.
You know. Anyways, things you think about when you get older. There's a whole report you can look up. So anybody interested in continuing this, like looking at this, there's a whole report. You just type in the Lost Boys. What's the Lost Boys State of the Nation? But it's from the Center for Social Justice.org.uk, and it's got a whole report here, so you can read all of. It's got all the information on crime statistics.
It's a very long
and
report, BT Dubs.
It is a very long report. It talks about tech and pornography, health.
very
It
detailed.
talks about everything. Yeah, it's got a lot of stuff in it. It's a proper study. And
Okay,
so,
I'm sorry I'm interrupting you, but there is something Mr. Andret says. He says, I live life in real life. And I try to do the same thing, but the reality of the world is we are now more of an online. Look, you have a Canadian up here, and like I couldn't be farther away from Canada than I am right now. Right, I'm in Texas. I'm at the bottom of this fucking
well, okay,
country.
except
And
if you
not
draw,
granted-
you're a
Hang on a
straight
second.
line below me, though.
No, I understand.
I'm like your
yeah,
hat.
yeah, right, yeah, exactly. But what I mean is, you know, you're in Canada and I'm down here at the bottom, like Texas. Like, you know, we couldn't be. I mean, we could be if we're like, oh, you're in Winnipeg and I'm in.
I know what you're saying. You
Winnipeg.
couldn't get much farther away,
Right.
unless I fly to the Arctic.
Right. But so
yeah.
here we are. We're still able to have this conversation. We're still able to do this show and whatnot. So we still, yes, living real life, right? But on the flip side of that, I have to say, recently I've experienced this, and I'm kind of telling on myself a little bit here, but I don't give a shit. You know, being out, sometimes grass is poisonous to touch, 100%. But I was in a situation recently where I wasn't sure if this person that I was speaking with was just goofing around, was flirting, or was completely annoyed with me and was trying to get me out of the situation. But you know what I mean?
Was
So-
she Asian? Because if they're nervous and they're Asian, they'll pretend they don't speak English and giggle a lot.
That's so fucking goddamn Canadians. No,
They're like,
she's
sorry, I don't speak English.
no, she was not. She was not Asian.
You will somebody's gonna clip that. I'll be on blast tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. Junior Rock is gonna have a field day with that.
I've seen it. I've seen an Asian comedian make the joke. I think that it's been vetted. But yeah,
Well,
Oh,
so the
Lord.
point that I'm trying to the point that I'm trying to make is that it's not as even going into real life, you know, because again we've conditioned even us older people are
Fucking
starting
dog
to be.
here.
Well, yeah, there's a dog.
He's knocking my lights over and shit. Get out of here, buddy.
Good for him. But what I'm saying is it's not as simple as we'll just get out in public, because it's not. Like some of us who haven't been in the game. I got out of the game before this online explosion happened. I've been out of the game for almost 20 years. So I don't know what it's like. I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? I feel like
Hit the like button if you haven't, by the way, everybody. We only got 2 likes.
Yeah, that's one thing you can do. But
hit the like button.
Yeah.
No, I know what you mean. I can't imagine. Honestly, that's the most stress-inducing thing I've ever thought of in my life.
Yes,
I can't even imagine. I don't want. Listen,
I know. I said the same shit.
I would rather put 10 times more energy into my existing relationship than have to go fucking look for, and not less because I love my wife, but also because, like, let's take that part of the equation. What a nightmare.
Yes.
I don't want to do that again.
It is a nightmare.
It's like,
I don't want to do it either.
The bar, you go to the bar, you're like Papa Bear at the bar now. We're almost 40.
I mean, I am in my 40s. So yeah. So here I am in a situation with people whom are younger than I am. I'm probably, well, no, I take it back. I wasn't the oldest person. There was this 70-year-old who looked like Schwarzenegger in his fucking prime. I have never been.
So,
I have never
I see. So he's currency then. He was okay.
I have never been more emasculated in my entire life than watching this fucking 70-year-old ripped. I mean, fucking ripped. Not an ounce of fat on this son of a bitch, and he's doing all this like fucking handstands and like jump fucking lunges
it wasn't
with
Chili
this
de
like.
Castro.
No, it definitely was not, because this guy was actually interesting.
No, that's not what I want.
But yeah,
I have Chili de Castro somewhere.
we don't need that. We don't need that in our lives no more.
I've got Chili on a wire still. I have to find him. He slides in if anybody remembers. He comes in from the top on a wire and then threatens to dox you.
Yep.
Actually, he was set up. I don't know why he didn't go off when. Like, I got to figure out why because I have it set up on my OBS, so up in the corner it should say such and such.
It did last time.
And stuff.
The last in Annie's last one, I saw it pop up. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, then
but
it did.
I didn't see the Chili one. I don't know if it was Chili, but
it's a rare. No, Chili's a rare. It's like a shiny Pokemon card.
Yeah.
He doesn't come all the time. You can set rarity. So like he's only like 10% of the time.
That's funny that you say that, because I'm sure that's every partner that Chili's ever had says it as well. He doesn't come often.
That's funny. we got the bots in here. That's how you know you're making it.
Yeah, buddy.
Best viewers on streamboo.com. Hey everybody, go to stream blocked.
But yeah, no, I said, so I didn't. There was like, what are you doing? That's I don't. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just don't know. I don't want to know.
Stream Boo, everybody. There you go.
I don't know if I want to know. It's it is.
I don't know. What is that? Best viewers on stream. I feel like they're trying to best viewers. It's to try to buy views. It's on Twitch. If you look, it's actually a Twitch. It's got a little icon for Twitch.
Yeah.
And so that's our only viewer on Twitch. And it's because on Twitch they got the Kingmaker system. So nobody's ever gonna find you unless you like have viewers. So people will bot viewers so that they move up the algorithm. It's not worth it. You don't do that. It's not.
Yeah. It's not. No, the monetary return is stupid.
Well, it's not worth. It's just who the fuck it's like Chili. Like, I've got 600,000 subscribers, but only 30 people show up to watch a video release.
Yeah.
Like, come on, buddy. Like, we know you've only actually got 20,000 at most, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
But no, like I said, it's the game has changed so much since I've been in it, and I don't like it. I just don't. I don't like it.
Yeah, because you're in it right now, right? I mean, not to get personal with you.
Kind of. You know what I mean? Not because I want to be.
I mean, like, you're red-blooded male. I mean, you should be. I mean,
Should I though? I don't know if I should be. I think it's a mistake, because I feel like you ever see Benchwarmers?
What is it? Benchwarmers? Is this a show or is this a?
It's a TV. It's a movie. It's a Rob Schneider film. Anyway, there's a character. There's a character there named Howie who never leaves the closet because he's deathly afraid of the sun. And every time he goes out in the sun, he freaks out and runs back into his closet. That's kind of what I feel like with this whole
movie. What movie was that again? I feel like I've seen.
Benchwarmers.
I remember. Oh, Benchwarmers. I wasn't hearing it right. Yes, I've seen Benchwarmers.
Yeah.
When he was. I remember when he like scares the Girl Scout cookie
With
the
the-
girls away. And he like he grabs the stuff and he throws the cookies into the kitchen and
Yeah.
like dives into the thing and like shuts the door on. Like he's got like a rope he slams
Yep.
the door shut with.
Yep.
It's funny. Hold on. Well, since you said it, here we'll if for people who haven't seen it, what is it? Girl Scout cookies.
Yep.
There's got to be a clip of it. Okay, hold on. Okay, we're gonna.
This is about to, you're about to see me in the dating world right now.
Oh, wait, listen to me. Look, they're not.
It's not very
gonna
loud.
kill you, all right? They're just dropping off the cookies I ordered.
It's a funny movie. Yeah, no, that's fair. I can't. I don't envy you in that sense. Like, I mean, let's face it. Every guy. I mean, make sure nobody's listening. Every guy that's in a relationship, there's that like 1%, which I'm sure that everybody has, where you're like, oh, it might be neat to be in the dating scene, but then you like see data that's
Nope.
from the dating scene right now, and you're like, no,
Nope.
not at all. That
Nope.
sounds terrifying.
It's horrible.
Yeah, I bet.
Agoraphobia.
So-
That's what it is. Yeah. Agoraphobia.
Agoraphobia. There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, is there any women left in the chat, or did we scare you away?
They all fucked right off. They're
They
like,
all fucked off.
just.
We had Christy. Christy was here.
Yep.
And then we had, who else did we had? We had, I don't know if Zer0 is a female name or if
No.
that's a guy.
That's a well. I mean, I don't know how
don't
I don't know
even
how
know.
Zer0 identifies, but I think.
That's fair as well. There was Kelly Fitzpatrick. Kelly was around.
Yep.
Even PhD Tony left us.
Yep.
Raven. He's not a girl. That's separate. Raven Darkstar. We haven't told you about PhD Tony yet, guys. He transitioned recently.
Yep.
No, he didn't.
No.
Yeah. And then what is it? Yeah, we had Kelly, and we had a few of you ladies that were willing to stick around for the conversation.
But then they were like,
I'm gonna. Yeah, they were like, "Fuck these guys." Agoraphobia. Yeah, pretty sure I spelled it wrong. Oh,
I think
you
it's
know what?
agoraphobia. I think it's with an A.
You know what? I'm a champion poor spelling because you and me are friends forever. Okay. There's a spot in my heart for anybody who can't spell well. That's me.
Yeah.
Krakatoni.
It's agoraphobia.
Agoraphobia. Okay.
Yeah, with an A.
Well, I wanna. Oh shit! I'm gonna put it up here. Crack of Tony now. I'm gonna champion the wrong spelling, but anyways, okay. Well, we're not gonna jump obviously back into this video. We could always do it another time next week, something like that.
Yeah, let's do it next week. Let's get back into it. This is an interesting conversation that doesn't deal with the orange Cheeto dust stains.
So hey, listen, if anybody wants, I'm gonna put my Discord. Let me find it here. Johnny, feel free to put your Discord link as well.
Every time I put my Discord link in places, people tell me it doesn't work.
Well, you have to make a new one.
I know. I'll make a new one, right? So and then everybody's like, "Oh, I can't
Invite people.
I know.
And then you say, "Oh no, that's not what I want to do, is it?" How the fuck do I do this now? Create an event, create a category, server settings, invite people. Isn't it invite people?
Yeah. I'm gonna put mine in there
See,
right
I don't know what
now.
I'm doing either. Oh, here we go. Yeah, here we go. Copy the server invite. But and then and then there's a thing you can change. So if you look at the very bottom, there's a tiny little link, Johnny, where it says expires.
No, I got
after.
it. I got it.
And I switch it to never, but it always resets itself. So
Yeah, I got it. So that's what I do. I'm doing that right meow.
Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna drop that. I'm gonna drop that in the chat. I'm gonna put it in both destinations. Paste. Oh, what the fuck? It just copied the words hidden. You fucking. I hit the copy button. Let's try this again.
There's mine. So you can hop
What
in.
the fuck? I don't understand. Hidden. Use the copy button or sent. Mine's not working. I don't understand. Oh, you know what?
See?
Here, hold on. Let me turn off the screen share for a
See?
second.
Oh yeah, it's probably a screen share. Screen share.
Well, yeah, but I
Yeah.
don't think that's actually what's doing it.
That's what you get for making
Well-
fun of me.
Mine's broken. Yeah, I don't understand at all.
Hmm.
That's so fucked up. Hold on, let me right click on invite people. Wow, that doesn't work at all. Are you not able to do it in like can you go to you're a mod, aren't you? You are. Can you go and grab it off of mine? Maybe it'll work
Yep.
for you.
Yep.
Because I feel like I can do it on yours. I don't know where the fuck yours is. There it is. Can I do it on yours? Maybe mine's broken? No. It's just like, it's because I'm in, oh, I know what to do. Here, hold on. I can probably fix this. Hold on. Streamer. There's a streamer mode. I'm just going to turn off streamer mode.
Already done. Boom. There it is.
There it is. Okay, perfect. So there's mine. Oh, wait, that's the plot hole. Is that yours or is that mine?
The one I just put
That
up.
one's mine.
Yeah.
Copy comment.
Just go.
Here, this'll.
Yeah. Do both.
Yeah, this will send it to both, and then so that's mine. It's gonna go to both, and then Johnny's got his in there, which I can also copy, and then we can paste that in there too, so it goes to both. Okay, so yeah, what I was gonna say is, if you want something that would actually help us out greatly, is suggest topics. By all means, at me or at. Oh, I'm still showing the comment, wiping Johnny off the map. We're gonna try to fix that for next stream. But, you know, please feel free to go into the Discord and recommend topics to us, because we would love to talk about all kinds of conversations. You know, it's not always going to be Trump, politics, whatever. You know, that was a topic last week. I'm sure it's going to be a topic again. But the whole point of this is to have discussions about things that we find interesting to talk about. It's not about... it's not about any one specific topic. I think.
And yeah, we've both talked about not doing completely heavy topics all the time. We have to do some fun shit every now and again too, just to break up the monotony.
I mean, the thing is, like, it gets old. You know, Johnny felt the same thing as me, I think. You know, like right now, if we were just doing sovereign citizen content, I know a lot of people are in for that, and that's where most of the views have come from, and that's where most of our subscribers have come from. But I mean, how many times, you know, we'll bring up the hard tard, and we bring up different people, and be like, oh, look at them get their window broken again. Which, don't get me wrong, if we find a sensational video, bring it up. Maybe we'll talk about that one of these days too. But I just feel like, how many times can you talk about the arguments of sovereign citizenry, all that kind of stuff, without it becoming a never-ending discussion about nothing?
Right.
Because then it's just us like clipping back to the video and going like, ha, and then it comes back to you and me. We go, ha ha ha, what a dumbass, you know, like how dumb do you have to be, you know? And then it's kind of like rinse and repeat week after week after week, and that just gets old. Now, I do think that this is going to give me. I'm still going to be releasing some sovereign citizen content for videos and stuff like that, I think. But I think that this is at the very least going to be a nice palate cleanser for me and for Johnny, I think, to talk about other things.
Yeah, absolutely. Because
I've been enjoying this.
This is fun. We'll do it. I think we'll do it again next week.
Yeah, well, we're gonna keep trying, anyways. Besides, we know we have to do it every week, or else the algorithm will never fondle our metaphorical, you know, channel testicles, if you will. Hey, I wasn't gonna shy away from it. I know what I was saying.
Say what you said, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Johnny, anything you want to say before we take off for the night? Anything that you think
I've got a new video that I put out earlier today. It's on my channel. It's the one talking about Cory Booker. Go check it out. Leave me a comment and all that stuff. And again, it's political. Cory Booker, he's the he's the senator from New Jersey who broke the filibuster record previously held by...
Oh, yes, okay. I saw some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for him.
25 hours and 5 minutes.
He didn't have a fucking diaper on.
No, he didn't. He prepped, so he stopped eating Saturday and stopped drinking Sunday. So he prepped for this shit. And then, wow. Beaver and John. Yes, I want to be. Yeah.
I mean, Mr. Andrade, I live for it, really.
At the end of the day, you know.
At the end of the day, right? No, the Cory Booker thing was interesting. Cory Booker, you said, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I recognize him too. He's always a very passionate speaker whenever you see him talking. It's nice to see people that, I mean, it's great that the Democrats are doing something, you know, other than nothing.
Yeah, well, it's a little more, right? So we have, I'm going to turn my camera off for half a second, but we have like the Wisconsin Supreme Court seat that was held by the Democrats, even though we didn't see the turnout we didn't see the results in Florida for the House seats that we wanted to see, we did see a huge chip into that strongly held red seat. I think we saw a 25-point swing towards the Democratic side of the vote, even though, we didn't see the flipping of the seat. It's just more important. Like those things those are the things that you keep an eye on as a Democratic voter, as a liberal voter, because those are the things that we need to see. Like midterm elections are going to be so important. Or not, they just are. And it starts now. And if you don't do your shit now, then it's not really we're going to see the same shit over and over and over again.
I was about to ask a question and it just left. Yeah, it's interesting to see what's happening right now. He's concerned about a seat in Florida as well, I guess.
There was a seat in Florida. Yeah, there was a special election in Florida that, there was an opportunity for the Democrats to take control of 2 seats, which would have huge sway in the balancing of powers, but it did not happen. But we did see a shift in the voting. So I think the guy who won the special election, the previous election was like a 37-point win, and then now it's like a 13-point win. So it was a huge shift. Even though it still went Republican, there was a huge shift that brought it closer to the center.
It'll be. Man, I can't believe I had something I was gonna say and I thought it was good, but it's gone, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, no, it's gonna be good to. Hopefully there's some momentum shifts and stuff that are gonna occur. It'll be. I hear you guys sent a father off to an El Salvadorian prison. You can't get him back now.
So
it's all. Hey, listen, it's almost like if there was like a guy that wore like. He could like wear a robe and sit like at the top of like a bench.
So this is exactly what I was going to say.
Like to make like a judgment on certain things like this and like decide these kinds of things.
We call it due process. It's in the Fifth Amendment for a reason. And there's a reason why we have due process. And this is a reason why that I will die on this hill all day, every day. And I know we didn't want to get too political in this show, but I'm going to get political here right now.
We're having a little talk on the way out.
Right.
That's all we're doing.
When we talk about the illegal deportation of these people, and it is illegal because they are not being afforded due process. And there's a reason why we afford even what we believe to be, quote, criminals due process, is because when we have this shit happen here with Garcia, who was deported to El Salvador, when in 2019 there was a judge who signed an order that he was not to be deported to El Salvador specifically because he was being persecuted by the criminal element gangs in El Salvador. They basically said
he was probably a snitch. He probably snitched on some people, and so of course his life is in danger. Is what that usually is, isn't it?
There's a lot of things. Like he escaped El Salvadorian. He escaped El Salvador because he was on the run from the cartels and the gangs down there. He was escaping that persecution. Yeah, it was ignored on purpose. But he's not the only one. There's a ton of people that are being just.
No, it was it was a clerical. Johnny, it was a clerical error, Johnny.
Yeah, the funny thing is, right? Let's say it's a clerical error, right? Oh, it was a clerical. You know who would have caught that? The fucking court. Due process would have caught that.
Hey, Godden's Raber, you have a knack for coming in right at the end of streams.
The very end, yeah.
Like it's almost like, and then like it's like, no, stay, stream longer. It's like we were on our way out.
Yeah.
I think we had a good conversation today. It's an interesting subject. The only reason that it obviously is interesting to me is obviously I've got a boy and a girl. So, now he's tall as shit. So he might be okay at the end, but I'm gonna raise him with emotional sensitivity, and then maybe he can just champion all avenues, right? So hopefully we can, the
And
thing
Kelly
is, like,
Fitzpatrick, you are absolutely correct. They sent him. He's not coming back. He's going to be.
yeah, he ain't coming back.
He's
He'll
going to
probably
be.
not even exist eventually.
Yep.
That's unfortunate. I know.
Yep.
And he's like a father of like a disabled child, so he's like the bread earner of the family as well. So now there's
the autistic children. Yeah.
So now there's a family that has disabled children that is missing the breadwinner and their father.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's really, those are the things that are kind of really landing at home now. Unfortunately, if you get about 20-something% of people, or 100% of the people on X, almost, it feels like, are okay with that, apparently. You don't need any of that pesky.
Yeah. Okay. So
process,
really quick, this is a reason why due process is so important. This is why alarm bells should be going off for every fucking citizen of this country.
They can do anything.
If they're ignoring due process, what we're doing, yes, exactly. What we're doing is we're testing the waters and what it takes for due process. We're testing those waters. And if we don't get pushback, now what's to stop them from deporting anybody? And I do mean anybody that they don't agree
if
with.
they take away birthright citizenship, which is what he wants to do, that means that any single, they'd say, oh, it's just the immigrants. No, the next person that loses their citizenship is somebody that maybe commits a certain crime or disagrees with, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, you don't deserve your, I mean, Elon Musk called, what was it, the astronaut, what's his name? The senator that's an astronaut, Kelly, Mark Kelly, is it?
Mark Kelly, yeah.
He called him a traitor because he was posting pictures on X of him in like Kyiv, like doing a Ukrainian tour and like talking about, supporting Ukraine. He posted that he was a traitor. How is he a traitor? He says, well, in an interview, he's like, well, anytime you're putting another country above your, I don't think he put another country above your own. He visited another country and then expressed his opinion that country needs to be supported. At what point did he engage in treasonous, traitorous actions even apparently the act of traveling to another country and saying, I support this country, if it's not the opinion of the government or Elon Musk, apparently you're now a traitor. So at what point do they suddenly say, oh, you're a traitor? Well, you don't deserve your American citizenship. And then what happens to you then? Well, I mean, you could end up in an El Salvadorian prison, I guess.
AJH, 100% correct. If it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, we call it a fascist.
Yeah.
Anyways,
we already did that. Yep. And you know what? We've got that other video, to be honest with you, which I'd love to return to in a few episodes maybe, because we've got a lot more. Point by point, she goes through all these different examples, and it just illustrates. By the time you're done watching the whole thing, when you watch it, you're like, it's like, let's say she made 32 points or so. I don't know how many.
31 of them. She made
31 of them or 30 of them. Trump, and it's not like, oh yeah, that's kind of like him. It's like, it's like a fucking carbon copy of what he's doing is exactly what Mussolini and all these different dictators over the years have done. So it's that's when it gets a little scary. And if the people say, oh, calm down, you're being alarmist.
Yes.
I would agree.
100%.
And I would agree with you that it may be being too alarmist if it wasn't for the fact that he's already doing away with the due process and stuff like that. And then, hey, he mused about it beforehand, and then he mused about a third term before he won, and then he mused about it after he won, and then people say, oh, he's just joking around. He mused about it again the other day. This is what he does. He parses a conversation and says, oh, maybe a third term. And then he sees how it's received. And if there's not enough pushback, he goes, oh, we're just kidding. We're just splashing in the water of fun here. And then they say it again. The thing that Trump has done, the one thing he's reliable at, is he tells you exactly what, and that, like, he 100%, he outs himself. He tells you what is the plan. And like, even when he was asked about, like, how could you be, a president again? And he's like, oh, there's ways, there's ways, which means they've talked about them, and they've talked about the ways that he could be a president again. So, I mean, that's called dictatorship, because all of the rules. And by the way, that amendment that says he can't be a third, it's not like gray at all. It says literally no person
can't
can
serve
be
more than 2
the
terms.
president more than 2 terms. And then there's another part in there that says that anybody who served as the president is not allowed to serve as, I can't remember how it's worded, but essentially says you're not allowed to take higher office of like a vice presidency and stuff like that afterwards either. So even the idea of him, we could be, because that's what one of the he said, they're like, well, Vance could be the president, I'm the vice president, and then he steps down and I step into his position. That's also referenced in there. So that's a constitutional crisis.
Yep.
So, anyways, but
Anyway,
we're not talking about that today. So let's get out of here. But anyways, I'm glad, Kelly. I appreciate you sticking around. I know that it was it was like, it's a very visceral topic. It kind of brings up a lot of men versus women. So I mean, I do appreciate you sticking around. A lot of people would have just flipped the bird at the screen and walked away. But like I said, we weren't trying to point any fingers at anybody. We're trying to talk about the greater societal implications, because I personally don't like being on Twitter X anymore, and that's where a lot of that is coming from. Is there's this shift in society that's occurring, and long term, it's not working out for anybody who's not a right wing nutbag. Essentially, like X. I don't know if you. Before we go, last thing. I don't know if you ever on X.
Not really.
It's
I
absolutely
just
terrible
turned it back
now.
on. I just turned it back on so I could pull some of the just horrendous shit that Trump, Musk, or Marjorie Taylor Greene or Bobo says, just so I can pull their tweets up. But yeah.
And you immediately got Elon Musk's tweets, didn't you?
Oh yeah. Oh
because
fuck yeah.
Whether or not you subscribe to Elon Musk, you now get his tweets right on your fucking push feed.
First thing, yeah.
Every day, and all he does is go wow, and then he links some conspiratorial bullshit that has no evidence to support it,
or some Nazi bullshit.
Exactly, it's the craziest thing ever. That entire, and you know what? I am on Blue Sky. Links are not in the description. I'm gonna work on that. It's a little better. I gotta get myself a notepad file so you can just highlight and drop it in, because it gets all the stuff in there.
You could do that you can make it a template where it does it on every one you put out. In YouTube.
Oh, can I? Okay, I'll figure that. Oh, on YouTube, yeah, but will it do it through EVMux too?
Yeah. So you set it as a template, so anytime you go live or post a video or short or anything, it just automatically
populates. So then you just change what you need to add what you need to. Okay. Hey, listen, everybody, if you haven't hit the like button, hit the like button for me. I think mine's stuck at 2, so whether or not that's up to date, maybe if I refresh it would go up or something. But if you haven't, do me a favor, hit the like button. We are trying to get more people watching. We do want to talk about all kinds of topics. And like I said, if you do think that there's a topic you want to discuss, the Discord link is up there somewhere. Hit us up in Discord, Johnny or me, and suggest a topic. We would love to take suggestions from people. We would love to talk about more things than just our little brains can figure out on a day.
Right. We want to talk about what you want to talk about.
100%. So, Johnny, last words? Anything?
I got to pee like a racehorse, so.
All right, buddy. Here, outro. Have yourself a great night. Thank you very much, everybody. I don't have a proper outro, so we're just going to do our intro as an outro again, but I'm going to work on all these things. Thank you very much. Have a great night, everybody. I appreciate you all being here.